Welcome to the World Series of Board Gaming. My name's Chris George,
And I'm Brian Muller.
and we are here finishing up our coverage of all the ring finals that happened at the 2022 World Series, finishing up with Brass Birmingham. And it's a pretty long game, so why don't we just jump right to the table and introduce our players.
Does anyone else want to mix these up before I randomly place them?
And they're just getting the last finishing touches of the setup happening. As you may know, in Brass Birmingham, where you can deliver certain types of goods is very important, and that is randomized at the beginning of the game, as we see our players flipping them over right now. But why don't we meet who is playing the game? In seat 1, we have, in the blue hat, in the top left corner, playing purple, we have Jared Wilson. And then in seat 2, we have Luca Ilaria playing white. You might recognize Luca from the Azul live stream. If you haven't seen that, make sure you go check that out. Again, all of the games are now up on the WSBG channel. And thanks for staying with us. It's exciting to finish with Brass when we started with the semifinal of Brass in this sort of live recording that we've been doing for the past little bit, eh, Brian? And then in seat 3, in the bottom right, playing that sort of orangey brass color, we have Randy Bueller. And then finally, in seat 4, in the bottom left, we have Josh Boley in yellow.
Yeah, so this is a good group of players. One of the players is semi-famous, at least, in that he was a Pro Tour Magic the Gathering champion in Chicago, and went on to get a job with Wizards of the Coast, and even got inducted into Magic the Gathering's Hall of Fame. So he comes with a set of credentials already, which I'm sure he's looking to add to.
For sure. And that, of course, is Randy Bueller, who you may have seen in the Great Western Trail ring final as well. He made it into that one as well. Did he pull out the win? Did he not? I guess you're going to have to go watch and see. Right now, they're just double-checking that everyone has the correct amount of tiles on their player board, because these will represent the buildings that you can put out onto the board and represent how you're going to develop your engine. And so let's take a look at the initial setup as they're placing these beer around the board. One beer starts in every sort of market space. The market spaces from our bottom right. I know the board is upside down. The players decided to play on the night board rather than the day board. The board is double-sided, but it's the exact same board. It's just different artwork on either side. Depends if you want to embody that gloomy atmosphere of when Brass is set, or the jovial day atmosphere. I think in our semifinal we were playing on the day board, and here the true gritty Brass players, they like to play on the night board. But in the bottom right corner, that's Warrington, and it looks like you can deliver the crates, the manufactured goods. And then over into Nottingham on the left, bottom left, we have the opportunity of delivering cotton and pottery. And that's an interesting place, because you couldn't deliver cotton there or pottery there in the semifinal game, if I recall correctly. And then moving around to the top of the board, that's Gloucester over there. You can deliver manufactured goods and cotton down there. And then finally, you can deliver all 3 of them on that right side of the board, right in our perspective, left, of course, to some of the players' perspectives. In Shrewsbury, anything you want can be delivered there. But it's interesting, right beside Shrewsbury is not any of those goods. It's, in fact, just iron, coal, and some beer. So we'll have to see how the players adapt. And this is why I like Brass Birmingham in particular, is this modular setup makes for such a different game every time.
Indeed it does. Indeed it does. Yes, it's definitely going to be interesting at what they do. The opening may be a little bit scripted for some of these veteran players, but they're going to try and be very efficient with their 31 actions and trying to make the most of everything that they do.
I think I'm just going to take a loan.
And we see Jared right off the bat, taking a loan.
It's a fairly scripted turn 1 play.
Back 3.
And you only get one action in that first turn. Is that right, Brian?
That is correct. So the first turn of the first round, you get one action, and then it'll be 2 actions for the rest of the game. It looks here like they're using some clay chips as well. So
that's true. They're using the sort of iron clays that were in the deluxified Kickstarter version versus the standard money that you can get. And those are just sort of poker chips that you can stack and easier to place. And we see Luca.
Very fitting for Vegas.
Very fitting for Vegas. That's true. We see Luca doing a develop action right off the first bat and developing both of his level 1 beer off the board. And this feels like a pretty standard Luca play if you happen to see our other brass match where Luca may or may not have been involved. And he may or may not have done the exact same play on that one as well. It feels like maybe he does the exact same play every time.
Yeah, it looks like we're looking at a combination of loan here and maybe either one more development, or we might have somebody go early in coal or iron. But I think probably looking at loans and developments around the board here, probably for turn 1.
Because it's a bit dangerous to put out something fairly early, especially if then that helps your opponents use it.
As you do it, so that
Sure.
we can hear you.
Yep.
It'll be more interesting to watch.
Entertaining. Okay. Playing pottery.
I just remembered.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know.
There's our judge saying, maybe talk about your turns. so that the viewers at home can know that's okay. If they don't talk about the turns, we certainly will. That is why we are here to guide you through all the action. And Brass is a game that has really moving up the ranks on my favorite game list. It's just so good.
Two back. Pay my tolls.
So we had three people with loans.
Yep.
And one player who will be playing last will be Luca here in the next round.
Last. Yeah. Didn't you spend money?
I did a loan.
I took a loan.
He was the only one that spent money.
And it's interesting because one thing that I do love about Brass is that the amount of money that you spend determines the player order for the next round. And I just think the manipulation of that turn order is something you're going to see these players really pay attention to, because it matters if you can take 2 turns before an opponent that you might be fighting for a spot with.
All right, I'm going to build a canal. That costs $3.
Now we see people starting to expand their networks. They've gotten a bit more money. And this is a very, very interesting play.
So they're going to get down in the thicker part of the area. It's going to be a different game.
Because it's say.
First pay.
Oh, first I'll pay.
Yes.
Good idea. $5 and $6. 6. These go and I get 1, 2, 3, 4. I get my $6 back. I think that's it.
So we got Jared here making a play to get his economy going quickly, taking advantage of the iron that's already out from Lucas development. And he's going to play that down, get a quick connection and a quick flip, which will give him a pretty good jump start here.
And stable. The ball first
Performing Mars.
really make a
What
difference.
other teams you guys doing?
Yeah, you can set up for a big turn and go first and swing a big turn and get 2 back-to-back turns, but then after that you'll find yourself at the back of the line.
$2.
Here comes the two more iron.
Just checking in. Can you hear me now, Brian?
Yeah, you were a bit spotty there. May have been some weather patterns here as well too. So.
I know. I was just saying, even though our backgrounds are similar, it looks like we might be in the same room. We are doing this remotely.
I want to tell you something, so don't forget. If everybody could please be downstairs over here at 9:30
So Randy here is pretty much committed to
presentation
beer
ceremony
barrels
in the
and
morning.
manufactured
Yes.
goods.
If I wake up,
Right.
sure.
I mean, I've got Great
Don't
Western
forget-
Trail
don't
tin,
forget
so
to draw.
Well,
Don't forget to
well, we
draw.
can do what we can do.
So there they mentioned that they're got to get up early. Whoever wins this game has to get up early for the ring presentation ceremony in the morning, which is one of those exciting things that we did here at the World Series of Board Games.
Yeah, every day before the next games started, we had the ring presentations from the previous night, and we invited not just the winners, but everyone who was up, at least, every one of the finalists to come up and be recognized. Because it's a monumental achievement just making this final table. There's been a lot of really good play, and all of these players had to win to make their spot here.
But that is definitely true. There's nobody short on talent at this table.
I'll play Kidderminster 2 and pay 3 to build a link.
We got another link coming down here. And
We'll see where Josh wants to establish his network.
coming in the same vicinity.
I'll play
Knowing that Birmingham is going to be worth a lot of points for those links, Josh playing for points early.
to build an iron. Link 5 plus. So that was a 2.
7.
Cool. So 7.
And Josh playing the iron in Coventry, I believe.
Here. It'll sell back.
I think that's 6.
Doing a very similar move that Jared did earlier, now that more developments were off, more iron was used. Able to flip that immediately
Somebody
and
did.
get
It's just
that
like-
I-
Thank you,
all-important
thank you.
income bump back, so you're not paying money every income phase.
And that
They
goes
might
in.
really want the present for the other 3 of you to be available to be over here at 9:30.
I should
I'm going to be Great
be.
Western Trail.
I am. I should be.
Which is the 10. I'll also be
Oh,
down
okay.
here at 9:30 for 10 o'clock patients.
All right. I drew my 2.
Please, thank you.
Yeah. Did you?
I drew my 2. I'm set.
And then finally moving to Luca in that final position. Luca being the only person who spent money in that first in that first round, which meant he went last.
Developed.
He's going to play into the cotton. That's very, very interesting for Luca to go that cotton this game.
Doing another development and getting that cotton off the board, wanting to invest in a big cotton strategy.
5.
And really taking those early turns to set himself up and set himself up for the strategy. And the cotton seems to make sense on this board because it's close to, well, there's sort of cotton everywhere on the board, but having cotton being able to be delivered in Gloucester makes the spots like Kidderminster and Worcester really valuable. Those are at the top right of our perspective here in the yellow. You can see how they only have cotton there near that separate beer area. And maybe Luca has those cards in his hand and knows he'll be able to build in that direction.
He also has the advantage of staying out of one player's pie, so he's can get into his own thing and stay a little bit away from what Randy's trying to do here.
That's true, Randy, having gotten rid of the manufactured goods. You could see them work in tandem and just fight over that beer. Randy will be going first this round, then Luca, then Jared, and then Josh last, having spent the most. Or I believe Josh and Jared spent the same, but since they were existing in that turn order, because they both built a link and they both built an iron. Oh no, but Josh would have had to pay $1 extra because as you spend coal, which the first iron requires you to do, the coal market is currently at 2, as you can see on the side left there. Things get more and more expensive, so if you can't use it on the board, you have to use it from the market and pay whatever the price the market's at. Randy now establishing that connection between Shrewsbury and Coalbrookdale. Very interesting route for Randy to go, but you can see he's building towards those manufactured goods and trying to target Wolverhampton, Cannock, and Warsaw, or Walsall. Those are the three sort of in the central area of the board.
Bring out his iron. Is that a level 2 iron building he got there? Or is that still level 1?
Just the level 1.
Okay.
Sorry. You know, when you're resolving, like flipping people or refilling the thing, do it more slowly, like only one hand over the board at a time instead of, because it's very easy to screw that stuff up.
Yeah, okay. That's good.
The judge just making sure everyone's clarity of play is specific so that everyone can check each other's work. That's been really important. It's very easy to miss paying $1 just by accident. And this ensures that you can say, oh, no, actually, you were supposed to pay 5 and not 4, or the other way around, right?
Exactly. Developing again. Going to dig deep into the cotton strategy right here. It's probably either
And we see Luca now going towards that area where we thought he might, where you want to target if you're going heavy into cotton. And Luca really pushing towards that 3rd level of cotton, which if he's able to get that on the board, it's worth 9 points. And for those of you who may be unfamiliar, in brass, the scoring happens at the end of each age. So we'll have the Canal age and then the Iron age. And if you happen to flip over one of your buildings that are over level 1, because then they'll stay on the board, they'll score twice. So the level 3 cotton scores you 9 points, but if you're able to flip it in this first age, it actually scores you 18 points.
That is very good action efficiency right there.
Oh man, let's see.
And that's a lot of points. What do you think the final scores are going to be here, Brian?
With this level of players, I'm thinking it's going to be 140s, 150s range to bring home the ring.
Yeah, I believe the final scores in the semifinal match, which was also brass, ranged between sort of upper 120 to upper 130.
I'm going to develop. I'm going to develop 2 beers. So it costs $4.
We see Jared getting in on the developing action.
Thank you. So it costs $4.
Now everyone has developed their beer, their first level 1 beer off their board, except for Josh. And I know that this is a fairly common thing to do at this higher level, but it's always fascinating to me because by developing off your level 1 beer and not putting the level 1 beer on the board, you're resigning the board to being a lot more confined in age 2 because your beer will still stay on and it won't produce more beer. So that makes shipping even more difficult for the things that require a lot of beer. Especially the pottery, if you're going down a pottery strategy.
I think that's it, right?
Oh, we see Jared develop his beer off the board and then place a beer in Uxeter. And the interesting spot, that's the best place to place beer in this first stage. It's great to find yourself with an Uxeter card because it allows you to do that. And the reason it's the best place is because both connections to Uxeter, you can see how they're grayed out a little bit and they don't have that blue line. Both connections to Uxeter can only be built in the rail age and not in the canal age. There's actually no way to link up to that beer, and so therefore nobody else can steal it from you. You can use your beer if it's anywhere on the board, but if you want to use somebody else's beer, you have to be connected to it. And so Jared locking down one of those spots, securing that he has beer on the board that only he can access and nobody else can touch. Only Josh left to play in this third round.
Contemplating which direction he's going to take. Does he want to be the common player, or does he want to stay in the manufactured goods, a little more safe, but might not produce enough points to win? Or does he want to go really risky and go for the pottery?
Yeah, I think we could see Josh maybe push that decision a little bit down the line. If he builds a link and then another iron, he can, again, fill up that market, get some more income, get that additional income bump, and get his level 2 iron on the board.
That is a fine strategy as well.
But it just depends if he has the cards to do it.
I'm going to overbuild.
Overbuild.
We see the overbuild of iron. So overbuilding is something that you don't see very often because you don't get to capitalize on the points underneath. But again, it's all about that efficiency of action. So Josh doesn't have to expand to a place that gets iron and hope that he has the card. He can just overbuild on his own thing if he happens to have an iron card in his hand. And that's basically only worth two more points for him, but because it's that iron play, he gets to fill up that market, immediately flip over that iron, immediately get another income bump, and then keep that level 2 building on the board now for later instead of losing that spot later on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where us novice players look at an overbuild action and say, why would you do that? But then the higher tier players know exactly the efficiency of doing that, going from a level 1 to a level 2 without having to start multiple setup actions.
11, 12. Taking this one off.
And we see him building that 2 iron
Wow, look at that. That is a series of
That is a huge play. That is why he overbuilt. He could have just placed his level 2 iron there and then done something else, but he wanted to play both of those iron, get a share of the market, get all the money that is required, and then have that iron on the board, which the other players must use, and then flip over his level 3 iron, which will give him 7 points and 2 income when it happens. But again, if it happens in the first stage, and I bet it will,
yeah,
he's looking at a 14 points there,
$2.
plus the 5 that he put down. So it's basically a 24-point play, 21-point play.
very solid, very solid. And he's certainly going to get development actions from Jared, and if not from himself.
He still has his level 1 beer, so he's not worried. If other people aren't going to use that iron, which he knows also that Luca needs to build his cotton, he'll still be able to do it to get his beer out. And plus, beer all requires iron to build as well, so there's really no worry that won't be built or that won't be flipped in this first stage. Maybe Josh will even push to get his 4th iron out, but we'll likely see him save that for when there's more space in the market, the iron market, and he can again fill up at that opportune time. On to the next round, we see Luca again going into that cotton area, expanding there with his routes, locking that down so only he can have access to that little beer spot on the side, or access to build there rather. Luca building to laying down these cotton in both of those areas.
Manufacturing grade, which is $10. Yes. This goes on Birmingham.
And we see Randy investing in his level 2 manufactured goods, already heading to Birmingham. The thing about Birmingham, I mean, the title's called Brass Birmingham, and Birmingham is the only spot on the board which has 4 places to build, which means any link into Birmingham will get you a lot of points. Ooh, and Randy lays down his 2nd manufactured good, a 2 manufactured good play in both Birmingham and Coventry, which sends him forward to the level 3, which he won't need beer to complete. So for sure he'll want to get that on the board before he takes his sell action.
Yeah, back to back, strong plays.
I'm
Just
going to
boom,
take the
boom,
chance.
boom.
I'll take the opportunity as well.
Everybody knows to bail on my turn because it's going to be a minute. Let's see. I will. Going to develop. I can use his iron, right?
You have to use it.
Okay. Well then, let's develop these 2. Use both of those. These flips.
It's 2, 1, 2.
And we see that iron immediately used, developing being such a key part to this game that I think novices will often not recognize the value of. It feels like you want to get those buildings on the board, right? The level 1 on the board and get those points and get that income bump. And sometimes you do, but oftentimes getting the 2nd buildings that can stick around just make so much more sense in terms of that action efficiency game that we've been talking about.
Let's do a beer. No. Crate. Let's do a crate. Yeah. I can do that. Right? Yeah. Ways away.
We can hear Jared discussing, is he going to go manufactured goods or is he going to lay down some beer? Now, even if Jared does have that other Uxeter card, because I think there's 2 in the game, there's 2 in a 4-player game, where he placed his first beer, he wouldn't be able to build it in that area in this first age.
So it's $11. then this goes here. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, $11. These get trashed. Thank you. That goes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8.
And Jared making a very clever play there. He knew
Draw.
that he was going to develop 2.
Last cards here.
And by developing first, he had to spend less. Well, I guess it's the same either way. I take that back. I still think it's a clever play that he's carving out his own little section up top and establishing a foothold both down in Birmingham and in.
Entertain the viewers at home.
It's not live.
How long have you lived in America?
From 2011.
Okay.
So quite
Yeah. Do you go back to Italy a lot?
we were planning to, but then the pandemic happened,
Sure.
and then the war happened, so we went back just a couple of times,
Yeah.
and then we had to stay here.
Yeah, you have a lot of family over there?
My parents and my in-laws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize my turn was next.
That's okay.
Yes, you will be
So,
penalized
I just
by
wrapped
5
up.
points.
You're all good.
Uh,
I flipped your tile for you.
So you developed
I developed,
twice,
and then I
he
built a
put,
beer. Or a
crate.
crate.
on
developed
stone.
twice,
Built a crate.
built a crate. Well, thank you for your charity.
Mhm.
He's probably,
All right.
Josh is probably looking here at development action, and it's possible here that Randy or Jared might down the road play into the coal. No one's really played into the coal yet, and we are going to need a little bit of that going into the rail era.
That's true. Yeah, we've seen Jared and Randy develop that first coal off of their board, ready to put their second coal out at the opportune moment. And thanks to Jared and Luca for providing us with lovely background information on our players. That's also something that I've loved doing this commentary about, is that I feel very attached to all of the players who have been in the finals. You know, I feel like I've gotten to know them a little bit, watched their play style, would love to play a game with them at some point in time. They just like everyone who I've gotten to watch and spectate has just been super fun. And I think I said this in another commentary, but I am looking forward to seeing these players come back and seeing them at final tables next year at 2023, or maybe with some new faces. You never know, right?
Definitely. Well, I'm sure there will be some new faces, but I imagine to see a lot of these players back. They're very approachable people, very fun to be around. All the competitors have said that across the board, pretty much, that it has been a great social experience as well as a competitive experience.
We see Josh going for the level 1 coal, really trying to focus on his economy. The level 1 coal is only worth that one point, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see Josh overbuild
That's interesting.
on that. And Josh draws the last 2 cards,
Oh, yeah. Sorry, thank you.
indicating that we have 4 rounds left to play in this first stage. It's flying by.
It is.
And paying
Paying
maybe.
3,
But this is the point I always find whenever I'm playing brass.
5.
I'm making these plays, I'm playing quickly, and then I draw the last cards and I think, oh no, I only have 8 actions left. What am I going to do? And it really becomes time to buckle down and really plan them all out.
Indeed, because you know all your cards at this point here. You know what's not happening that you were maybe hoping would happen.
Yeah. I think that's a huge point. I think when you're drawing cards, there's still that level of hope. Oh, maybe I'll pull that Stoke-on-Trent that I need. Maybe I'll pull that coal card, which will allow me to build. Maybe I'll pull that Uxeter card, which Luca has, and locks down that beer, a level 2 beer up there, just waiting to be gobbled up.
It definitely gives them the safety net here when getting this cotton flipped. In pretty good shape.
And what I find so fascinating, and I think this differs from I remember playing like novice play versus sort of high level play. Oh, and another beer down for Luca. This is connected though, so if someone were to build manufactured goods in Wolverhampton, let's say, that's the one that is sort of to the right, that currently where Josh built his coal, there's another spot for manufactured goods there. They would be able to access Luca's beer and spend it. But thus flipping it over for Luca and giving him those point bumps. But Luca managing to get both level 2 beer on the board in the first age, if he's able to flip that over, maybe with some big cotton plays, that'll be what he's looking for, to lay down a cotton in Kidderminster and a cotton in Worcester, and then you sell those cotton using his beer. But what I was saying is that I think it's fascinating that I think novices in this game often rush to use that free beer in the market, especially in this first age. And by doing so, you're not waiting to use one sell action for everything. You're potentially taking 2 sell actions, and that leaves you minus another action that you could have used for something else. Again, always coming down to that action efficiency. We're currently on to Josh. I wonder if we'll see him overbuild on that coal.
I think he needs at least one more development action here, I think.
2, 3 to build a link.
A link.
Josh establishing his network.
Yeah.
Moving up to Canic.
I'll play. 8 plus, well, I guess plus 3, so that's going to make that 11. 9 to 11. To put that out, take this coal.
And this is interesting. We've seen everyone develop those sorts of things off the board, but Josh is not. Josh is putting his first manufactured good on the board, and it's a level 1 manufactured good, so that will be removed at the end of this age.
Did you draw? Oh, we're not drawing anymore. Yeah, we're all done.
Maybe Josh is maybe Josh is banking on using that beer in Shrewsbury, knowing currently that Luca will want to use his 2 beer, and banking that Luca will only have the chance to get 2 cotton out, and so hoping that he'll be able to use that as a free beer and just scoop up some points. I feel like we can hear a bit in the background that might be from the Dominant Species Marine game, which was happening at the same time.
That was I was there.
You were there. We can see Brian in his judge's red shirt in the background behind Jared.
That was definitely a lively game for sure. That was just super fun. And if you haven't seen that yet, you're definitely going to want to check that one out as well.
Yeah. I really enjoyed watching that one. And then in the other background, you'll see a camera crew behind Josh and Randy. Those are 2 members of a documentary crew that was filming the inaugural event as part of a board game movie that hopefully will be airing next year at some film festivals, funded by Crave, which is the HBO of Canada, where I'm from.
Here, another 3 go here, so I get $1, $2, $3, $4.
And we see an overbuild, I believe, from Jared into Birmingham, doing a similar overbuild that Josh did. Getting rid of that level 1 because it's just going to go away anyway, and putting in that level 2 and establishing a foothold in Birmingham, which will allow for him to connect. I just keep going back to that initial play by Jared, and I just love him playing that link from the market where you can't sell anything. It just feels like such a safe play to establish his own network and then set himself up for the next round.
Taking the loan is self-throws.
This is interesting. This is the second loan that we've seen, but it's the first loan since that first initial round where, you kind of take a loan or you develop.
All right, so these go away. This goes here. And drop. No, don't drop.
If we look at the income tracks right now, we see Jared and Luca at -3. So each income phase, they will have to pay $3 because they have not gotten out of their loan holes just yet. Randy at 0 income, he won't have to pay anything, but he doesn't get anything. And then Josh at 5 income, he's getting an extra 5 income every turn because he's been investing so heavily in those sort of coal and iron, which yield those income bumps.
It's definitely an interesting look. I know that Luke is very comfortable playing with a short supply of income. He's very comfortable playing that way. Other players like to have a big income here, so there's definitely a different approach between Josh and Luke at this game.
What do you prefer, Brian?
I like taking a lot of loans. I like taking a lot of loans early, actually, in the game. I usually, when I play more of a Lancashire player, and I like to get like 3 loans in the Canal era, just get them out of the way, and then earn that money back. But I'm a mediocre player, so at best, maybe even less than a mediocre player. So
for me, I'm more of an economy player first. I hyper focus on that economy and getting that income up so that I have the income and flexibility and I don't have to worry about loans. But I think what's also really interesting about Brass is it's one of the only games where taking a loan feels like a legitimate action. I often find that loan mechanic to not ever feel like a legitimate action, to feel more like a penalty if you can't accomplish things. And I feel like in Brass, it is so legitimate and is integral to your development and your strategy.
Yes, and it's hard. I don't think you can get through the game without 2, maybe 3 loans. One of them maybe you can take very late in the game.
Yeah.
But it definitely feels much more punishing to me, and I'm probably wrong about this, but my feeling whenever I take that loan, if I've built up my economy and then just have to tear it down the extra steps, because now when Josh goes to take his loan, he's not moving down 3 bumps, he's moving down like 6 bumps.
Yeah.
And that feels like you've just wrecked everything that you've done the whole game. But these are good players, so they know that there's some value in getting paid early, and it's not as big as a bump as it seems.
That's true. I mean, even if Josh sits there for the rest of the round, he's got 4 turns left, and he doesn't touch it, that's basically almost a loan. He's getting $20 just for being there and sitting there for 4 rounds. So when you look at it that way, it just depends on if you've managed to pick up as many points along the way as everyone else. I think we might have been talking. I might have missed what Randy ended up doing. Did you catch it, Brian?
One of the things he did was he took a loan. I didn't see the other thing that he did. So.
Oh yeah, you can see his economy marker has moved down on the track.
He didn't spend any money, so he probably developed.
Yeah, I think he spent something like 3. So I was looking for a link.
Oh, did he spend 3? Okay, that makes sense. Oh, he has a link from Birmingham into.
Oh, that's where it is.
Oh, I thought.
Yeah, into Walsall.
Birmingham.
It's a bit hard to see because of the artwork.
It's almost the same.
So he's probably playing into his cards.
And then Randy starting off the next one, building another connection from Walsall over to Wolverhampton, where Josh's coal is.
Right.
Wanting to lock down that Walsall just for him to build in.
Ship.
He's got the shipping network here.
And he's shipping. Oh, Luca is shipping. Oh no, he's shipping with using Luca's beer and capitalizing on Luca's beer being there, and using the beer that was readily available in the market. I think that's a really nice play.
Yeah, he got that action efficiency that you're talking about, doing 2 shipping actions for 1 action.
Yeah, he moved
by having set his rail lines. The only thing he had to do was he had to invest in the 2 canal lines to get there. So, but it looks like a good payoff for him.
Yeah. And we can see just some correction of the income track moving, with Randy flipping over his manufactured goods, both at level 2. He goes up 1 on the income track. And by flipping over Luca's beer, Luca moves up 5 and gets out of debt just for having that beer.
I was fish last game. Right? Yes. No, you're right. Yeah.
I do Stoke-on-Trent crate. That costs 10.11.
Oh, from the
You have to take
10.
Perfect. Yeah. Free. So it only
And
costs
it's
10.
your own.
Yeah.
All right, so we got another flip here.
Yes.
That cost me $10.
Jared getting out of debt by using up his iron
Here.
and getting that other manufactured good on the board, a level 2.
At it.
Jared will be very desperate to connect with 2 links and a shipping action. We can almost guarantee those are 3 of his remaining actions. But he's safe up there. He's not in contention or in competition with anyone else, and knows
7.
that he'll be able to use that manufactured good.
Pay this. 8. So put some beer. Beer on that.
And another great safe beer play by Jared going into Nuneaton, which again you can see the connections from Nuneaton to Birmingham and Nuneaton down to Coventry. Those are both only available to be built in the second age. So by putting his beer there, he's locking down those safe spots where only he can use his beer and nobody else can connect to it with the same network and use it just like Randy did for Luca.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just... I don't think you're actually cheating. It's just made me a little uncomfortable.
Randy taking a quick break to get some food in, and it should be pointed out that these players have been basically playing nonstop, depending on how long their previous games were. They've had to play a lot of games of Brass Birmingham to get to this point, and with not a lot of breaks for food. I can absolutely relate. Needing to get that mental fuel to push you through the remainder of the game. Our board game brass athletes around the table.
Indeed. Definitely have to be have that energy level up to keep the thinker ticking.
Keep that thinker ticking. That should be the subtitle or the secondary title for Brass Birmingham. Brass Birmingham, keep that thinker ticking. Josh's play right now. I wonder if Josh was banking on having that beer in Shrewsbury that Randy just gobbled up. Now, if Josh wants to sell that level 1 manufactured good that he placed out there, he has to figure out a way for him to get some beer on the board. And again, there will be so few beer spaces in that second age, which makes a huge difference and makes it all then shift to link play. Because you get points for two things in this game, for those of you who don't know. You get points for buildings when they're flipped over, and then you also get points for links, any connections that are touching flipped over buildings. Each building will generally have points on it, with a few exceptions.
It's be interesting how he gets out of this jam here. He's going to go wild.
So Josh is taking the scout action. I think it's called scout. Yes, it is. I knew it was.
He's basically trading 2 actions for the ability to take exactly the 1 action that he wants twice.
Yeah.
Later down the game, but it's still he's still down in action here, so he has even extra work to make up. But that meant certainly that he didn't have what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
7 to overbuild this coal.
Then we see the overbuilding of that coal, which we talked about earlier that was probably what he was going to do. Getting in on refilling that coal market, immediately flipping up, and giving himself another boost of income. This is important to do early on because you get that income boost.
He's going to be. You're right. He's going to be able to operate without very many loans in this game, but he does have he's got a lot of scoring work he's going to have to make up, though. Now, while those canals will score pretty well surrounding the Birmingham area, because there'll be plenty of points there, they do come off the board, so they're not going to be as strong as trains because the board won't be as developed as much.
Yeah.
So you like those canals, but you don't like the points aren't as efficient as the trains will be later in the game.
And we see Luca taking advantage of Josh putting the coal down to a cheaper amount. You can see the ebb and flow of how people's actions influence the other. Luca may be waiting for someone to get the price of coal down so that his level 3 cotton that he just was able to put out on the board was a bit cheaper and a little bit more manageable.
15, 18, 15, 19.
That's good.
I will admit, I don't have the iron clays in my copy of Brass, but seeing players play with them right now makes me want them a bit. How they stack so nicely on the character faces. Over to Randy now in first position again. That was a pretty clutch play to lock down those important beer for Randy. And now we'll see what Randy wants to do with his remaining actions and where he wants to build. I thought he might be building into Walsall to try to lock that down, and he still might play something there to give himself a central position on the board to start the next age.
I think he might be thinking of a coal play here because he has his 2 buildings flipped here. So he can play into coal here potentially, set up his plays for the next age. I would suspect that that's going to be one of his plays. I don't know what his others will be, but
it's a bit tricky though, where he doesn't have a spot to play coal down without having that exact card. Because Walsall only has iron manufactured goods and beer in the middle there. He could go into Cannick, just south in our perspective, where Josh built that first manufactured good.
He's got a beer down.
Randy going for a beer in the center. That seems so strange to me. I guess Randy really wanted to capitalize on using the beer in Shrewsbury because it gave him that extra 4 points. because he was the one who used it. And now by placing that beer there, he's saying, hey, I know you're going to use beer, people. I know you're going to flip over my beer.
So
and
he could be
free.
recognizing here now that he's giving Luca an opening to go double cotton mill here. If he's got the income, which I think he does, to go bang bang, cotton mill, flip flip.
Yeah. That beer play is going to get everyone deciding, do they capitalize on it or not? And I think we see Randy going for another beer.
Oh, but I think those are some good plays. He's just playing the cards he has.
And I think if we look on the board, almost every beer spot might be full. There's one beer spot in Burton-on-Trent. There's one beer spot in Stafford. Those are the sort of to the southeast and west of Canal, where Josh in yellow has that manufactured good that hasn't been flipped over. And then next to Canal, there's also that one separate place that you can connect to build a beer. But those are the only 3 beer spots left on the board. Oh, no, there's one up in Stone as well. So we've got 4. That's pretty good. My worry would be if all the beer spots got filled too early on, it makes the next age a race to use the beer from the market, and that's it. That's all you get. That's all the shipping that you get, and that's all the developing of your economy that you get. Once all the beer is gone, the only other thing you can ship is a level 3 and a level 7 manufactured good. Which is perhaps why you see a few players investing in that manufactured goods. The only one who hasn't yet is Luca, who's going for that cotton play.
Did you see what a shitty start I had?
Yes, we did.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm gonna develop spending 6. Take those 2.
We hear people maybe celebrating from a previous game.
For, oh jeez, that's a lot.
Possibly the
7
Acquire game finishing up.
Plus 4 is 11. So, actually, you know what? Let's do it this way. 10, 11. Here it goes.
And we see Josh and a level 1 beer, which is important, meaning that spot will still exist in the next round.
I'm going to do a Canal. Plus 3.
We see Jared just establishing those Canal networks so that he can sell his manufactured goods.
Backwards 3.
And taking another loan. That's Jared's 3rd loan of the game. I think Randy's taken 2, and I can't quite remember how many other loans everyone else has taken. Luca's taken at least 1. Josh has taken at least 1 to start the game. Well, Luca's taken at least 2 after I say that. We see people gearing up to get that money for the big plays, and that's also important for Luca to not spend a lot, because then he could potentially capitalize on that beer with a double cotton play.
Some cotton.
And immediately uses that money to spend on that cotton. He can't afford to waste the turn so that he can have the double play. He just has to get that on the board. And you can see the iron market just getting decimated here. if somebody wants to play some iron, it'll get filled up immediately, and they will give themselves a really nice payday.
So,
Especially
sure.
Sorry, what was your first action?
Josh
Second was-
and Jared.
Okay. You took a loan and
Yeah,
then...
so
Yep.
and then I built.
For some reason, I got confused last time. That went down so fast. I thought it was already there, but I'm good.
So 3 is first. 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 17.
Looks good.
Good. Okay.
Always double checking that the turn order is correct.
Oh, $3.
So Luca's in the back spot here.
5.
There's my 3.
Which I wonder if someone's going to use Randy's beer before then,
Canal.
or if Randy has plans to use his beer, especially that beer up top.
Sell everything.
Jared just making sure he takes care of those manufactured goods.
You're consuming your beers, I assume?
Yes.
Both of yours.
So I'm going to do that. I go up 1,
Okay.
and then I consume this.
Okay, for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And then I sell this.
For 1 again.
I consume this.
Jared consuming his own beer so that, again, it is flipped over so he gets the double points when this
That's everything.
canal age ends. And also securing himself, most likely,
Use those level 2 boxes and be able to. That was smart playing because they only take iron. Okay.
Yeah, boxes are good. You can build them anywhere.
Yeah, right.
Josh commenting on the play, the fact that Jared was just able to put down the level 2 manufactured goods because they don't require access to iron. And of course, in order to access iron, you have to have a link to it, to one of the markets or to some iron on the board, or some coal on the board, rather.
15 to put this here. Fills the market back up.
And we see Josh gets that
Economy.
level 4 iron
6.
out on the board. That is a huge play. That is worth 18 points to him, and it gets him a pretty great payday.
18.
That's the play that Josh wanted to do. That is a really exciting play.
You got all of the iron out in 8-1. That's impressive.
Consuming this beer to flip this box to that merchant.
Yeah, 9 points for each age. And it's not going to be overbuilt because it's a level 4 iron, so it's...
And
I mean, just please add the.
Yeah.
Before
5 and 5.
5 and 5.
Yeah.
It's
I know it's. I know.
And we see
Oh,
Josh
good.
shooting up on that income track.
All right. Let's
He's at 13. He
Just
gets
do one at a time.
$13 every round compared to his competitors.
Yes.
We know, but it's so.
Luca, who's
it's
paying
goes
money.
Up 5 and then it goes up
Move
5.
stuff,
So
flip one, move the thing. Flip the
Yeah.
other.
sorry.
He has to flip the other one before.
but we know that he will
Yeah,
flip that because there's no
You
other
got it.
This is just
way.
a scooping.
Yeah.
That's all. It's not a game rule.
The judge just talking to make sure
No, I
that
understand, but we also need to verify that he has the ability to flip that by seeing the beer.
Being his beer, yes, he has the ability to flip it.
Well, yes, we all have a brain, and we can see.
My brain verifies.
Getting the procedural mechanics down here, making sure it's very clear for everybody who's flipping what and where you're scoring at.
We can flip first
and
the beer.
that you have the ability.
This is the beer that I'm
Yes,
using, and
we
then
did
you
it,
flip
right?
Yeah,
You
it's
flip
already
first
moved.
this
We're
one,
done.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah,
other
we'll do it
one
one at a
that
time
gets-
next time.
It's not
My
a big
bad.
deal, but yes.
My bad.
Maybe I can do a bathroom break and be back by scoring. Is that all right?
Sure.
Sure, yes.
An action from Randy coming here.
Means you gotta go slow. Gotta give time for the back.
With only 2 turns left. We can see 2 cards left in Luca's hand on the table there, Randy holding his 2 cards. Figuring out what he's going to do with these 2 cards, and I'm also curious if he could build something and use his beer to sell. he would probably use his beer up in Derby but that would let Luca sell double cotton, which would be, I think, a dangerous thing.
I think at this juncture, though, he's probably comfortable with that flip, even though it's better probably to aid one player and still be in a good position yourself than to not.
That's true. He's basically, he's giving Luca 8 points over him because he would get 5 points for a beer flip, and Luca would get 9 for his level 3 cotton. So Luca would have that 8-point lead over him, but he would also have 10 points that he wouldn't have otherwise, or an extra 5 points, I guess we should say, because presumably it'll get flipped in the second age if it doesn't in the first. So basically, does he want Luca to get an extra 9 points and he get an extra 5 points, or really taking his time thinking this out? It's a tough call. I probably would save my beer for myself, honestly. I would try to build something. Maybe he doesn't have the cards to do it. And it's kind of hard to see his chip stack right now as well.
I'll make up problem. So I'll get X diversity, right? So I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow.
I just feel like having Luca flip both of those cotton over puts him in a really good spot. And I think beer is so valuable that, especially later in the game when all the spots are getting gobbled up.
He's got another manufactured good here that he can get in Birmingham.
Yeah, but I think the manufactured good was flipped in Birmingham.
He's taking a loan. So he's not going to be able to flip anything.
He needs the cash. Maybe we'll see him drop a coal down, refill that coal market, get a bunch of money preparing for the next age. That's exactly what he does.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, but it's not connected.
Yep.
It is not connected to a market, so it does not get to be flipped. But instead, he puts some coal on the board that he will be able to build with in the next age. Him taking the loan and spending less.
It's a bold play. It's a bold play, but he's going to have to wait to see if it's the right play.
Here. So I go up 3.
We see Luca build a link and sell. And he's developing.
Second, using this beer, so this beer first.
Yeah, that's going to be rough points for Randy.
No, this is not free.
This is from the market.
It's one free.
I realize. Okay, I'll double check that.
Yeah, we checked it earlier today too.
Well then, that's weird.
5, 4.
The judge getting some clarification from the players, showing that it is a free development,
Yeah,
which
so,
it is.
Remove one of the lowest level tiles of any industry from your player mat for no iron cost.
I mean, yes.
Oh, wow, that's very valuable.
No, all good.
So you sold both of them here?
Yes, I'm using one
Beer there.
from the
Yeah.
market and my.
And Luca chooses not to use Randy's beer. Randy blang that beer out, hoping that someone would bite on it, and no one takes the bait. That beer sticks around, everyone denying Randy that extra 5 points.
Yeah, that's rough for Randy. He is getting that extra. Luca got that extra half action there with that development, though, and that could be very efficient for him.
And he developed off his last level 3 cotton, really specializing, heading towards those very point-heavy level 4 cotton with 12 points. Now we're moving on to the scoring phase. We will see the players score points.
Just so we don't
Income.
forget.
Yes,
Okay.
so I'm getting
So I
3.
get 13.
I get 5.
Randy being forced to pay. You can see on his face, I think he was really banking that Luca would be forced to use that beer.
Mm-hmm. We'll start with.
And Luca pulls the rug right out from under him.
Who wants to move purple?
Should we write it down just to double check? That's what we did in the
1,
last
2,
game.
3, 4. If we everything look
Okay. If
We're
we look-
recording it too, right?
Yeah.
If
Oh.
we can check if we
So 4,
We are indeed recording it.
1, 2, 3.
And the 4 here.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm. So white.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
4 forward.
4. 4.
And a 3.
Scoring points for all the buildings that are flipped. So we'll also see by Luca not using Randy's beer, he's also denied Randy 4 extra points too. Because had that beer been flipped, Randy would have gotten 2 points extra for each one of those links that were just removed. So Luca essentially denying Randy 9 points.
3.
1, 2,
Purple tiles.
A huge punishing play from Luca, and one that Randy definitely didn't see
Are
coming.
you guys okay adding them all up?
Yeah, we can add it.
Okay.
5, 10,
10,
15, 20, 25.
24.
You can see them tilting the building so that they don't lose track of what has been scored. Jared moving to a
And there
very
are no
respectable
other rounds, so
36.
they stay.
Mhm.
9, 18, 28.
9, 18, 28. Yep.
28 from Luca.
38.
Just ahead of Jared, but very close.
Red. You had all of
Those are some
Yes,
really good
that was
scores
the one.
considering that most of
Red.
those are going to double.
3, 8, 13.
Randy does have 3 manufactured goods on the table, so that's
removing.
Stay.
Yeah, but I think Randy's going to really feel, he's really feeling those 9 points right now.
Yellow. We got 9.
And he's really feeling the fact that he has 3 buildings on the board that are not flipped.
18, 19,
yeah.
26.
31.
Wait, so, yeah, 26. 31. Yeah.
Less than 41.
Randy was definitely anticipating that he would get those 9 points that Luca would get by flipping it, and was fine with that.
Yeah. Can we write down where our victory point markers are in case the
yeah.
board
Yeah,
gets
that's-
bumped?
That'd be great.
Okay. Do we have? Oh.
Yes.
The only one of mine. Yeah, just that. Okay.
Do we have a pen?
Anybody-
And Josh
I
at
have a
41 right now.
Does anybody have paper?
So we see
Yeah,
Randy
it's on
at
the-
21,
that is
Jared at 36,
Josh
Luca
is in
at
such good
38,
position.
and Josh at 41.
He's got a big point score. He's got a very
Exactly.
solid
Right
economy
on
going,
both
much better
and
than the
one.
I'll
rest of
just
the
do it
players.
here.
So, Gray,
And
Gray's
the only
at
thing
38.
Gray's is 38.
actually, he's also got good
Then
position in the
what?
center of the board.
Red is 24.
Purple.
He's got access to
36.
Birmingham right from the flip here,
Yellow.
41.
so he could get into rails pretty heavy coming out of the break.
All right. Oh, sorry. Did you turn the bottom one?
And also, I think what's going to be key for Josh is that he is right next to Randy's coal, provided Randy doesn't use it on his first turn.
The market.
But I think we could see some pretty huge rail expansions from Randy, just having the coal on the board and the beer on the board. We might see him flip those things over pretty quickly to deny anyone else the opportunity.
Does anyone want some M&Ms?
Yeah, I would like some.
All right.
If you're willing to
Just want a
share,
handful?
one
This
just
one. Oh, sorry. You're getting 4.
Do you want one?
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Okay.
You want
Josh
more? So-
graciously sharing his M&Ms with the table. See,
Thank you.
what a lovely gesture.
Shuffling merchant beers per set.
Just 4 fun friends having a great game of Brass Birmingham, competing for the title of Brass Birmingham World Series of Board Gaming 2022 champion. And that awesome Super Bowl ring, custom made, that's valued at around $2,000. And a seat in the semifinals where you can compete for $25,000.
Does someone else want to cut?
but we're just hanging out.
Someone else.
That's what I love. I love it. Randy dealing out the cards. Yeah. I can't help but. So Randy's at 21. If he had gotten those 9 points, he would be at 30. Randy didn't check in with Luca, though. I wonder if he'd asked Luca and said, hey, Luca, you going to use my beer? When they were the last two, if Luca would have told him an honest answer. Because there can be three responses. I'm not telling you. Yes, of course I'll use your beer, and then building it anyway, and not using the beer. Or, nah, I'm being honest, saying, no, I'm not going to use your beer, you better use it. And enjoy those 9 points plus anything else that you flip over. But just the fact that Randy did take a loan maybe means he didn't have the income left to purchase something.
Right. And yeah. And
or
now
the cards.
He's pretty committed to railing out here early on in this.
I just wonder if anybody else can get there and use his beer
So one of the
before
things
he
that's interesting
can.
about the rail areas is you now have an option to take a single action and go 2 rails, provided you have access to the money and access to the call. But if you've got it, there's quite a bit of efficiency in doing that, especially since the rails will really score you some points.
Now, as long as you lay the rails down and then have access to those items, you can do that. Is that correct, Brian? I think that's correct.
Yeah, you have to have access to the call, and it has to be networkable. So I think that's
so presumably
that is a little
Jared
bit of an advantage for Randy here, but with having his call inside his network here.
Okay, I think I'm gonna.
But and he is acting before Josh, so he's probably good in that regard. It's not the best rail placement, but at least he gets him headed on the rails really quickly.
15.
I think it's.
But I think we're going to see Jared maybe take that beer right here. This is
here.
Oh yes, Jared has access to that rail.
He's able to use the coal to connect in and then connect up to one of Randy's beer
Goes here.
and use that beer before Randy gets a chance.
This flips.
Showing that first
Red
play
income goes up 5.
was pretty huge. Randy not excited by this prospect at all, looking a bit defeated.
15, yes.
I think that the fact that Luca didn't flip his beer in Walsall really has taken the wind out of his sails.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Yes, the board has not been cooperating with Randy at all in this match.
And that's pretty huge, a pretty huge rail play from Jared to lock down 2 key points that'll be worth presumably a lot of points down the line. These links, again, something that I think novices underestimate is the point value of the links and how valuable they really are and how much of an impact they have on the score at the end, especially when the board gets full and buildings get flipped over.
Yeah, if you're talking 5, 6, 7 points for a play, or maybe even a half a play, it's very good efficiency and point scoring if you're trying to get to that 140 range.
What I thought Jared might do, and maybe he's contemplating, because I think he only played 1 action. Yeah, I think it's still Jared's second action. I was expecting him to do the double rail play from Oxford to Birmingham and then Birmingham to Walsall, being able to capitalize in that sort of top left corner down into Randy's beer in the middle and using it that way, and then getting his coal from the market. But using it on the board, hey, that's even better because it's cheaper.
Bad.
Scouting.
Picked the wrong stack. Let's see. So we'll do that, and then we'll do.
You see Jared getting rid of some bad cards in his hand to give himself some wild and flexibility, which worked out for Josh. Josh was able to play exactly where he needed to play and is now in the lead, likely because of it. But again, these scores are so close, and anything can happen in this second age. Jared deciding which cards he does not want to hold on to for the game.
Those.
We can see players clocking them as well, knowing which cards they have a less likely chance of drawing. And we're off to the races in this second age. Just a clutch play from Jared right off the back. And I wonder if we'll see Luca use Randy's other beer.
+7, so 11 + 7, 18.
Luca just doing the one link play, not wanting to commit the $15 and the extra call. Because he can't get there. He doesn't have a network connected to it, so he can't build off of it down to it. And Luca dropping that other cheeky little network.
So he had to take 2 actions to do what Jared did with 1 action because it's so much tighter.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It doesn't really matter.
But no, yeah, no, you're right, you're right.
I realize you're just chatting with somebody. Sorry.
You can see Luca just having to flip over those tiles being double-sided, one representing the Canal Age and one having the little train on them. So flipping it over to make sure nobody gets confused. And Luca, again, is going to want to plop his cotton down in that great Worcester and Kidderminster spots. Maybe he's drawn them into his hand, maybe not.
Rail here, using your call, so I moved up 7. And the second, another rail here, paying for the market.
I know the thing is,
Luca's spot in Worcester at the top right point of the board, his bottom left, is a pretty safe spot considering no one else has developed off their level 1 cotton, which means no one else can play a cotton until they take the develop action. Something about the second age is that you cannot play any level 1 buildings. You must play level 2 buildings. The pottery being the exception. And so Luca knows that because he's specialized in cotton and everyone else is going manufactured goods, he knows he has basically free reign of the cotton spaces as long as it's a cotton-only space. You'll see in Kidderminster, that's a cotton and a coal space, so someone could presumably place some coal down there and block him from placing 2 level 4 cotton. But we see Luca has gone all in on cotton and will want to go even more. But the question of this board now is, where is the beer going to come from? It can come from those markets, and that's a pretty safe bet. We're going to see all of those be used. And then, again, just to go through the spaces on the board that can currently have beer, we have Randy's beer still in Walsall, and then we have 3 spaces, a blue, 2 in blue, 1 in blue, Stone, which is on the bottom right side of the board in that 2 space area. And then there's a pottery and another space for beer or manufactured goods in Stafford heading along down that line. And then just to the right of Cannock, left from the player's perspective, we have that separate beer off to the side as well. So only 3 places to place beer, but any beer that gets placed now will have 2 beer on it because we are in the second age. And I think I might have thought previously that when Josh placed his beer on Burton-on-Trent, that was a level 1 beer, but it is a level 2 beer because it's still on the board.
You got it. You got it, orange Sylvan.
You can see the play slowing down. Randy agonizing over his decision, trying to figure out how he can make up these points because he is significantly far behind the pack.
Wait now. Oh, survival.
He's probably feeling like he wants to go coal rail, but he's probably feeling like that's still just going to put him behind.
I think it would be pretty hard for Randy to come back, honestly, at this point. I think that not getting that beer flipped was incredibly detrimental to his chances. And you can see the negative effect on him using the beer in Shrewsbury, wanting those extra 4 points instead of building his own beer and using that.
Rail.
Now Randy's just going for rails, seeing if he can establish a giant network before everyone else, and that might be the play. Lock everyone else out of those network points, let them do all the building for you, and just go hard on building as much of a network as you can.
11 is really low.
It was bad.
I keep trying to do
really, really bad.
and instead doing stupid things. It's been quite bad. Well, it's not working. It's legal, I guess. Shit. Whatever. I have fun long enough. I'm just doing the thing.
It's coming off the market edges.
Manage for whole.
You can.
Yeah, that actually is an illegal play
Here, but I
because
have presence there.
Yes.
Right.
You can go.
Randy being unable to build there because you must build off of your existing networks.
Yeah, you have a lot of options. You can build anywhere adjacent to one of your red tiles because you have your own beer here that you can
Yeah, but it has to be
Yes, to have
adjacent
access to
and
coal.
connected. So just
No,
here.
it's not. It's my beer. It
No,
doesn't have to be
the
adjacent.
coal.
The
You need
coal.
to be
Yeah,
connected
the
to the
coal,
coal.
of
So
course.
Yeah,
here,
you could build here,
there, or here.
here, yeah, or down there. You're right.
So just those 4 options.
That's not very many options.
No.
Yeah, them pointing out, again, it's something that's very hard to wrap your head around, especially when you're first starting, is the connection to coal must be established.
Pay for double railroad. Don't know if I actually want it.
I think Randy has to do a double rail here just for that action efficiency. That's the only way he's going to get back in the game. If he just plays a single rail, that's not doing anything for him.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up probably coming double rail and then maybe following it up with a coal to refill the market, keep his economy going just a little bit. May still feel like he's behind, but I think that's probably what he needs to do.
Yeah, if he heads down to Tamworth or up to Tamworth from Birmingham. Oh, no, he can't head up from Birmingham. He must connect to the coal.
I guess it's going to depend a lot of maybe he doesn't have the right hand card that he wants to.
Yeah. We see again why that scout action, it hurts to do, but sometimes you have to pull the trigger on it to give yourself that flexibility, as both Josh and Jared have now taken an action to do. Everyone's economy is starting to look up, but Josh is in just such a good spot economy-wise, getting 13 coins every turn.
Solid choice.
And
You
you're
consume
using
the
your
beer?
Consuming my beers. Flipping
it's fine.
No, the tech.
Randy is beside himself, physically and metaphorically. And we can see, you can almost feel the shift of the game. In the first stage, you know, the tension around the table hadn't quite set in, and now as we ramp up into this last half of the game, we see Randy drop some more coal down on the board, but it doesn't fill up the market.
It's not where he wants to be. He doesn't have that sweet card in the middle of the board where he'd want it to be.
Yeah, he needed that Canal card
Everybody else drew.
that he just built towards, and he couldn't, or he needed a Tamworth card, which he could build towards as well. He just didn't have the cards in his hand, and rather than choosing to scout, he chooses to put the coal on the board, presuming that someone will use it.
A beer and stone.
But not getting to take those immediate benefits.
Plus 2 more.
And I think he's going to be acting behind Jared the next round.
9.
I forgot what Jared's other action
We see
was.
Josh put some beer on the board that players are going to be hungry for. But it's in a fairly safe spot right now, as it hasn't connected down into that main network. But it does have the most connection links to it, although those places are mostly filled up. So pretty safe spot for Josh to play that beer right now. A really solid use of getting stone in your hand. That is the location where he played it.
Okay, that was a miracle. I didn't do the math ahead of time.
You hear Josh saying, "Oh, thank goodness I actually had enough money. I just assumed I would, and now I'm down to 1 coin." But also a really clutch link there. That's going to be worth 7 points with that single link, because each of the beer has 2 points on it. So connecting to spots with beer is huge. We see that's why Luca spent that 1 turn to just do that 1 link to try to lock down those points. And we see Josh doing exactly the same thing. But now having the beer, he can be more efficient with his actions and plays his second link down. Heading towards Stafford. Oh no, he's going up. He's going up to Stoke-on-Trent. That's a bit surprising to me.
Yeah.
I was expecting him to go down towards Stafford because that's where the other beer sections are. So if you have an extra beer card in your hand, you can just get all the beer onto the board and keep that train running, so to speak.
Sorry. Didn't mean to shut you out there.
I thought he might have tried to go into Birmingham here as well too, but he wants to play right there. So.
I don't know if you're last.
Oh.
12. Okay. Let me put this better. 10, 20, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
I gotta draw 2.
34. Okay, yes. Are we good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Randy having spent 34, Josh having spent 34 in that last turn.
Income?
Income, I got 3.
I could do it one at a time.
One at a time for
Oh,
income?
yeah, I got 3.
Okay.
Everyone finally out of debt with those key flips.
13.
13. I'm at 5.
And Randy getting 7. And now Luca is first player. I think in terms of managing your positioning, I feel Luca and Jared have been really mindful of that all throughout the game. More Jared than Luca. I think I'm just saying Luca because he's first right now. But I think Jared has been incredibly mindful of how much he spent when. And that's been very exciting to watch.
So Luca, once again, I think is finding himself a little bit cash tight here.
That's what playing in that sort of lone area will get you. Nobody has that really awesome income of Josh. Even though Josh spent a lot of money, you can see he spent 34 and he's only getting 13 back. Those numbers don't add up. And this is where we might see people try to invest in that coal to jump their income up, but the loans coming into play so significantly, Luca going back down to 0 where he is very comfortable. I've heard him say it's not who has the most economy at the end of the game, it's who has the most victory points. And Luca manages to build a big cotton in a clutch position.
He's pushing it to the table.
And 6.
And again, needing to build up there before he gets blocked off. That could have been a manufactured goods spot, or it could have been a cotton spot. Luca locks it down as a cotton spot, knowing that he has that beer access. And that's the benefit of specializing in something that nobody else is going for. You can kind of bank on the market still being there. Luca doesn't have to worry that somebody's going to steal those 2 cotton beer. He knows that he'll be able to use those unless somebody heavily invests in stopping him, and that would just be a detriment to their own game and their own engine. So Luca's pretty much guaranteed, if he builds another one down in Worcester, to be able to flip both of those unopposed and get himself 12 points each in the process.
Okay, sorry. I got distracted.
Yes,
Jared should have some access to drop down a coal here. He's got the wild card, so.
And fill up that coal market and get a big income bump.
Yes.
Currently, you would get $6 for your first coal, and then $5 for the next 2, and then 4. So if you drop down a coal that has four coal on it, you immediately just get $20 for that play. And it's better almost than taking a loan, because you also get that income bump and a couple points along the way. Also establishing more of a presence on the board. Just all good things.
He can't go double coal. Doesn't have
That's
that.
true, and he is currently on his second, his level 2 coal, so he would only get to drop down a coal that has 3 coal on it, so he would only get 16 coins instead of 20. But he would get a 7 bump in income, which also might be significant.
He might be able to go double coal here. He can go. I think there are 2 coal spots in the center of the board?
Yeah, in Canic there are 2 coal spots.
Yeah, that would be. I think that's an interesting play if he goes double coal. It really puts the squeeze on Randy pretty bad, but I think he could go double coal because he does have the 2 wild cards, so he can play one wild card manufacturing and one wild card is location and go coal.
Yeah, you could do that. It just feels like a heavy investment. You would get a lot of money back.
Okay.
But he might want to save those wild cards for something else down the line. We know he didn't like his hand, so still contemplating. Going for the beer.
Going to take one of those few remaining beer spots. He's going to prioritize.
Yeah.
And he's going to rest on the economy, on the heavy cash he already has.
Yeah, I think locking down that beer is important.
Beer. I think I'm putting it here.
Now the only beer spot left is off of Canic, if I'm reading the board correctly.
Right.
And then that's it. Then it's using the beer that's in the market as quickly as you can before your competitors do, which might prove to be tough for the 3 people competing in manufactured goods, again giving Luca that clear, open path to cotton.
So do you think he's going to go beer again here, or do you think he's going to make a second beer play here?
I don't know if he can, because he's not connected to that separate spot. he has to lay the groundwork either to use that beer, because people are going to be chomping at the bit to use it, either probably to build rails. We might see him double rail down into Canic, or double rail from Canic over to secure that other beer spot for himself.
It's
Ooh, do I have enough
15
money?
plus 13 is 28.
Oh, I got 23.
He can't do a double rail.
A little bit short. A little bit short.
He would have loved to do that double rail and lock down that other beer spot.
Okay.
Again, showing how that this economy is so difficult to manage.
We're gonna build this little baby coal.
It's coming, baby call.
And we see the investment in the coal. Like you said, yeah, him needing that spot exactly in the middle of the board to give him that option to build out later.
I get $16.
Making sure he has that economy so that he can build that double rail on his next turn, as long as he gets to go
What
first.
does it cost? That costs $7.
You have $7.
Did you take your
Surplus.
16?
I did not get 16 yet.
Oh, 16, okay. 5, 10, 15.
Luca happily reminding Jared that he owes $7.
Yeah, sure.
This is a fun table. It's fun to watch these players play.
Fabulous.
That one's trying to draw 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Randy gets to use his coal to build some iron and refill the iron market.
8.
Randy getting that money back, trying to develop something, locking in his own positioning.
6.
And then maybe we'll see a double network into Birmingham.
26.
It could come.
No, we see more coal from Randy,
Or call.
trying to get that income track up to compete with Josh and get some income. We see him locking down the other spot on Canic and filling up the market.
14, yes.
It's a late push, but it could spring him back.
6.
We see with those four coal, Randy got $14 versus the 16 that Jared got with 3 coal, and it shows the importance again of that positioning on the turn order. How just being behind your opponents can lose you out on some money. Jared, again, I feel Jared has dominated that turn positioning in an effortless way. This game feels really tight, Brian.
It does. It does. I wonder what we're going to get here. Are we going? Is he going to try and make rail links to get to that other barrel?
Ah, the least.
I think that's the competition right now.
I don't
The
care.
players know that there's only one
Sorry.
spot on the board where they can
16
get that extra beer, and
The most.
I think we're going to see that competition between Jared and Randy. It just depends if Randy has managed that turn order track. If he spent less than $19, I think it was 19 that Jared ended up spending, and Randy having bought 2 coal this round, I think it was an iron and a coal. So a level 2 iron would have cost him $7, and then the level 3 coal that he put down would have cost him $8.15 plus 116. Randy will get to go before Jared.
For you, yes.
And we see Josh taking another scout action. Another scout action and a loan, just ramping up his options for down the line.
And as well as positioning himself to double up on the turn here. So he'll go first going into the next round here. So
That's true.
If he's got his sights on something very specific, he
by
wants
doing
to
that,
go first.
yeah. Although there was a lot of big spending.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, third card down.
We see him get rid of Wolverhampton, which he already has a presence in, so not a sacrifice to make. Wolverhampton being 2 from the right side of the board, where he has a coal presently, just south, in our perspective, of Randy's coal that is remaining on the board.
5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
And we see Randy with that 16 just edging in before Jared. That might be the first time that
One at a time.
that this positioning might hurt Jared. Not being in control of that positioning, we'll see if Randy makes a play to lay down that more beer and claim the last beer spot on the board.
This game helps a lot going.
This is a very interesting game. It's played out.
He will probably quadrail. Okay.
We hear Luca talking about what he suspects the other players will do and can hopefully plan on that. But even the best laid plans, as we saw in that end of round 1, that brutal move from Luca, denying Randy that beer flip.
Lucas still needs a little bit more capital. He's still in that needing to get money to do things stage.
That's true. And that's where we might find Luca runs into a problem. Although he's managed to put out one of his level 4 cotton, but those things are expensive. They cost $18 plus 1 coal and iron, depending on whatever the price is for them at the current time. So at maximum, it could cost you 18 plus 14, 32, if the entire iron and coal markets were wiped out, which I don't think you'll see. You've seen it ebb and flow. But that's a lot of money. That's more than a loan. Josh being first up in this next round and just having run to the washroom for a bathroom break.
Yeah. But he has to know what he's going to do. He has to know what his play is.
Presumably, that's the reason he took that loan.
He might just be thinking it through one more time.
No, we didn't.
Saying.
They haven't yet taken income as well, waiting for the table to be there to witness and check everyone's work. So, Brian, with the state of the board right now, who do you think is going to pull it out? It feels almost too close to tell.
It does. I mean, Josh has a lot of points that he accumulated from the first round, but he still has just a lot of work to do. He doesn't have very many big buildings out. He just has a lot of iron buildings out to score off of. Everything that he's going to put out this round is going to be probably smaller unless he plans on developing through it, which maybe that could be his play as well too. Maybe he's going to, while the price of iron's down a little low,
One at a time.
develop through it and get to where he wants to go. He could? Oh, boy, it would be a big risk, but he could actually try to go pottery here. Is that crazy?
I don't think that's crazy at all. I think we're gonna see somebody needs to take advantage of that one pottery beer. And we see the income tracks, both Randy now having shot over Josh because of his loan, because of Josh's loan, and Jared also in the income game with 8. Luca still back down at 0. Yeah, I feel right now
you could play the pottery. There's 2 beer right next to the pottery spot right there. I mean,
yeah,
it's a bold play. It'll command a lot of things to happen quickly, but if you're prepared to make that play, it's develop pottery.
Are discards public
Yes.
knowledge?
Well, you can just play the level 1 pottery as well. And you can't develop that first level 1 pottery, which is the key.
Are we allowed to look through them? No. I don't think you're allowed to look through them.
You have to play that level 1 pottery.
That sounds right, actually. I think that was on the tournament rules, actually.
Yeah, the pottery play is going to be significant for whoever manages to grab it. I feel Luca may not have time with all of his cotton, but he's already gotten that level 4 on the board. So we'll see how he manages his income. That's going to be his game. Jared feels very link heavy to me, and I know those can pan out. I'm just wondering where Jared can expand to as well. It feels like Jared's presence on the board is a little less significant than perhaps Josh's, although they feel pretty similar.
He has a lot of money, though. He has a lot of money to just run some rails. He can rail Barry.
That's true, yeah. But remember, he did end up running into that money problem. He thought he could run the rails first. I think we're going to see this fight over that beer.
So, 15. Probably going to need these 2.
So he's
Josh doing a double build.
You're going to go into the...
Likely flipping over his own beer. And now it just chooses where he's going to expand to. This will depend on what cards he has in his hand.
We should double check, but I don't think so.
Because the obvious way down, especially because you need to be connected to your own buildings and to coal, is either to build out from Shrewsbury and try to get into the center that way, or go straight down from Burton-on-Trent down to Birmingham, but then you'd go through Tamworth. We see Josh just wanting to establish these connection points to places that already have a lot of stuff on them. Connecting through to that beer and presumably the pottery if it gets flipped and goes there. I think that would be the spot for the pottery, unless somebody
32.
moves up to Belper, which is down in our bottom left.
Really breaking this out.
I'm going to do it again. This time we got to pay 10, 15. That's 8.
And we see Josh making a huge push to just establish that rail network, taking advantage of the beer that's on the board. I think that's what he's doing.
I believe so. So is he going to network?
I would network down from Cannock, which has the 2, into Walsall, and then head over into Birmingham.
No, he's pressure on the beer channel.
Oh, no, he's able to lock down that beer and connect up for manufactured goods into that other main market. Again, him just going for points.
Oh, yep, my bad.
Those are some pretty big link plays. Again, showing you can see the yellow links on the board, and those will be worth a lot of points at the end. I'm surprised nobody's investing in Birmingham, but all the action is sort of up at the top, so you want to make sure you're going to be around the spots where people are building and flipping those buildings. And now we see Randy. Randy having one beer on the board. Maybe he can steal someone else's beer finally.
It can connect across the. Here's Cole.
I was just looking up in the rules, specifically who can build in that farm brewery that's just off of Cannock. Now that there's a link in play, if it's just Josh who can build there because there's a link, or if Randy or Jared could build there. And we see Randy capitalizing on that beer.
Still feels like Randy's about a half pace behind here.
Yeah. It's really hard for him to catch up at this point. But not impossible. Just really hard. And we see Randy do that scout action, needing that flexibility.
Jared should have a wild card still in his hand.
To me, it feels like Luca is in the lead. Although with that giant play by Josh, I feel like he's scooped up a lot of link points, which Luca is behind on. So it feels back and forth between Josh and Luca right now, just because I know Luca will be able to get those level 4 cotton.
Double cotton here.
Yeah, and unobstructed too, which I cannot say the same for the other 3 players in terms of their manufactured goods if they're trying to get more on the board. Now, most of them are on their level 3 manufactured good. Josh still needing a level 2. And the level 3 manufactured good doesn't require a beer to be completed. But it's also something where you want to push ahead to that level 5 manufactured good, because level 5 being worth 8 points, level 3 and 4 only being worth 4 and 3 respectively.
I think I'm going to overbuild a beer.
And here we see where that overbuilding really comes into play. Needing more beer on the board, you can overbuild your existing beer and put some beer there to give you that flexibility. And that is why overbuilding is so key in this game. And this is the exact implementation for it. A necessary play, I think, by Jared. Being unable to connect over to that farm brewery.
Am I short?
I don't know what I want to do.
What is it? Let's see, 15, it'd be 25, 10, 25. Okay. Short.
Jared asking Luca if he's short, asking for Luca to help him out with the count. You can see the play has slowed down significantly from the first age. We haven't drawn the last of the cards yet, but I think we might be getting close. And players are feeling the lack of actions creeping up on them.
Decided it was 25. 10, 25. Because I need 2 of these.
And Jared trying to establish those networks as well. Building down and into Birmingham, making those connection points and using that beer. Really solid link play by Jared. You can feel the players just working to scoop up every spot there is on the board and then worry about building and completing later. Because those links are...
You might have me beat.
Those links are just, they're a consistent source of points. Rather than worrying about building and selling, which costs you 2 actions, to maybe get, if you're on manufactured goods level 3, 4 points, you want to build 2 links if you can, flipping over your beer in the process and getting those points. That each link that Jared just put down is worth 3 points, likely will be more by the end of the game.
Did you draw 2?
I did, yeah.
On over to Luca to finish up this round. And it looks like maybe to draw the last 2 cards in the stack. I'm not sure. Luca taking a loan, needing that income, needing that money for his big cotton plays later on.
Yep.
Will he be building his second big cotton? You have to assume that he has Worcester in his hand. That's why he built that link very early on. And we see Luca go for an iron play here. Fills up a little bit of the market, but I don't think gets to flip it over immediately.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were done. Filled in 3 here for 4 coins back for you. And 1 goes in the tile.
And he gets himself some points there, but he also gives Randy and Jared points with their links as well. The only one losing out on that is Josh when that tile is flipped over for that additional point. Iron was the only resource that could go in that spot, though. So Luca wanting to take that opportunity
So 13.
to at least get a little bit of income back and placing himself in first position, which likely was the more important goal.
10, 20, 30, 35, 36, 10, 20, 34. Yes.
He still has some work to do to get where he wants to be with the necessary beer to cotton.
Luca? Well, I think we could see he's guaranteed the 2 cotton beer in the markets.
Brad gets 13.
So if he just has the 2, and then he could overbuild on his own brewery in that farm brewery. Or more likely, they're worth the same in terms of link points. So it doesn't matter where he would overbuild. Probably in his own brewery, so nobody could sweep the beer out from under him.
Is he going to go build ship right here? Can he build south and then ship?
Yeah, unless he has designs to get 3 big cotton on the board, or I'd have to check the count on how many big cotton he has left.
Well,
and there we go. We see him.
If he gets all 3 of these cottons on the table and ships all 3 of them, I think he's going to be very hard to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see why he built that iron, because his cotton required the iron. A really slick iron play from Luca, getting the 3 spaces filled in the iron market and then leaving that last iron for him to use on his cotton. That was a really solid play.
And then he's taking a loan so that he's going to try. I think he's certainly setting himself up to try to get 3.
Yeah, he's pushing for it.
That is so bold.
It's not the end of the deck. We've still got a lot of game left to play.
I think at some point here, the players have got to say, we've got to not let this happen.
But Luca's showing what a 1-2 combo can do. Him taking 2 actions last in the previous round and then taking 2 more actions immediately. I think we're heading into the stage where Luca will have 8 actions left. I think we'll see the end of the deck drawn after the next 3 players play, and then everyone will have 8 actions left. And we see Randy going for the pottery. That's the way to make up those points. If he flips that, it's worth 10, and he has access to it. No one else has built a pottery yet. No one even has access to selling the pottery if they were to build a pottery somewhere else. The only other spots on the board for pottery being Belper, which doesn't have a connection yet, and Nuneaton or Coventry.
And is he overbuilding?
No, he's just doing it right away.
Selling right away. Yeah, so pottery is one of those buildings that you can break that error rule where you can build the level 1 pottery building in the rail era.
And I think a solid play by Randy. He doesn't want to miss out on being able to sell that pottery. Maybe we could see him try to get another pottery down, but those 10 points are going to be, and it was actually 13 points for selling at Nottingham. That's how you make up those points, denying everyone else the possibility of pottery, which I'm sure was on people's minds. That's a great comeback play by Randy.
I think so too. I think that keeps him tight in this game. He's going to need some more work though, and he's going to need some more work. If he can maybe get 1 more pottery spot.
I think that's what he needs. I think he needs to go down that path that no one is going down.
So backwards 3.
Build his level 2 pottery and then overbuild that to level 3. The unique thing about pottery is that levels 1, 3, and 5 are worth a lot of points. Levels 2 and 4 are worth 1 point. They're easy to build, but they just serve to get in the way. I remember the last time I tried a heavy pottery strategy and got to the level 5 I lost by 1 point.
Wow.
So now I'm against it forever. Clearly doesn't work. Certainly wasn't because I neglected the network and rails as I pursued this pottery. We see a double rail from Jared. Jared trying to be competitive with Josh in that link play. We're going to see Jared and Josh scoop up a lot of points from those links. Jared seeing if he can pay for the coal being in short supply. Somebody could get a pretty nice payday if they were to drop a coal down right now. The question is where to drop it. I don't know if there's actually a spot on the board right now where someone could have a coal payday, because there's no connection points to the market. I wonder if we'll see him try to link up to a different place to place some coal or not.
No, but we were talking like, someone's going to put one slip, right? And they may, because they're the champion of slip, which is great. Nothing against slip. A lot of things against slip.
We hear some chatter in the background about Splendor. The Splendor winner having already been crowned the night before.
So there's only going to be 12.
So before they win, that's fine.
Jared, knowing he's building these rails, but doing that calculation as to where is the optimal place to maximize his points. That's what you have to be calculating right now. And you see him building through over towards Shrewsbury. That's surprising to me. Unless that's the only place where he can get his coal. You can see there's a spot left in Colebrookdale, fittingly, where he just built his last rail into, if he's going to drop some coal there and get some of that money back. Or maybe hoping to do on another turn. That opens the door for someone to make a big coal play, though, in Colebrookdale, if they have that card. And again, this is where keeping track of those cards really matters from a player's perspective. There are 3 cards, I believe, to get into Colebrookdale in a 4-player game. Potentially 3 cards, because some are removed. So you don't know if that card will come up or not. But if you've been counting and you've seen 2 Colebrookdale been thrown away for scout actions, for example, and you're holding on to the 3rd Colebrookdale, you know that you can build that coal there. But also, if you're Josh and you already have a presence in Colebrookdale, you can use just a standard industry card that has coal on it to build there as well. But the other thing about coal is that it's not worth a lot of points. Coal is used more as an income generator than anything, so it's that back and forth.
Maybe a little bit late in the game for extra income. You better be finding some points quickly here.
Although if you do even build a level 2 coal right now, you get $20 back and a 6 income bump and 3 points at the end of the game. So I would take that over a loan any day.
I'm going to play this wild to build a beer. You guys all spent a ton of money, right? Okay, so that's 9 plus 1 is 10.
And we see Josh saying, you all spent a ton of money, so as long as I don't, I can use my beer maybe in my next 2 actions. And we might see a conservative loan here
just to make sure that he stays in the
to make sure.
action.
Yeah, exactly that.
Because
to keep that
this is the
player
thing.
position.
If he gives too much access to Luka to his beer, and that beer is well rail connected, then Luka can get to those three barrels. Does he need beer for that flip of that cotton mill? Yeah, that's right.
For the last cotton, yeah. He'll need, if he puts out another big cotton, he would need 1 barrel of beer somewhere because the market will cover 2 of his big cotton that are already on the board.
Yeah. And you've got that big rail push there to the western side of the map, I think, is that universal cotton or that universal.
Oh,
rail.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, you could use that. Nobody's used that yet.
So where these things happen at is going to be significant. But if this stuff goes away, then Luka's going to be concerned that he won't be able to get to his third flip.
Yeah, but Josh is pretty cash rich right now starting off. That feels good for Josh.
I guess he has an option to overbuild here as well on his beer. So
yeah, I think that's the only way Luka's going to get beer. I don't think Luka can depend on somebody else. Luka knows he can overbuild in his own little farm, and no one's going to build a link there so that he can always just guaranteed use it. But he'll want to find a way to use both then. He could easily just build network rails, which he has been neglecting. If you look at the state of the board, we see yellow and purple really expanding, and then Luka only having 2 rail connections right now. And even though he's got to go for those big cotton points, but are they going to be enough to offset the amount of rail points that currently both Jared and Josh have? And I assume Josh is going to attempt to get more of right now.
Yeah,
maybe going from Coventry to Birmingham.
Points. That is for sure.
I could see rails from Coventry to Birmingham, and then from Burton-on-Trent down to Walsall in the middle there. Burton-on-Trent.
It's quite interesting how his game is played out. He's got his 4 irons out. He's only got one shipping good out, really, and then he's got his beer out, and then he's just capitalized here on rails. Is that really enough to
That's true, yeah.
Win you the game? Maybe it is.
Yeah, he hasn't gone. Often you'll see players go down one of the 3 paths: manufactured goods, cotton, or pottery. But that's a great point, Brian, that Josh is not invested in any of them. We could potentially see Josh try to make a pottery play.
That's what I thought he was going to do earlier, but I'm not sure if he has the tempo to be able to pull that off.
I mean, pottery's the only viable option for Josh at this point. Everything else not really going to net him enough points to put down. I guess he still has his level 2 manufactured goods that he could try to get, and those are worth 5 points each, but pottery being worth 10 points.
Pretty minimal.
Yeah. You want those big point swings. Or you want to just drop a heck of a lot of rails on the board and control the entire
I think
map.
That's the other option. Maybe he goes the coal and then just goes rail like crazy and just dominates the rail lanes. But he's got. I guess he's making this choice right now because this is where he picks the path he wants to go down right now. Either he's going to play into pottery, which seems like it's a few plays to play into pottery, or he's going to play for a lot of rails.
To double link, I guess, for 31.
It's a very expensive double link. Costs him 15 and then 8 each for the coal, as we see the coal market is completely barren
I would think that
now.
He might just do coal first just to pay for this whole venture.
Yeah, he's set. He has a lot of money though. And if he keeps the coal high, then he might make those rails a little bit inaccessible to the other players around the table who may not have as much money as he does. And he's going up to, that's interesting. He plays one of the ones we were talking about, but then going up to Belper is an interesting play because it unlocks another place to put coal.
It also gives him a pottery lane as well too. He can go. He could be thinking pottery here, which would be just wild.
Yeah, he's got two. He has two avenues for pottery now. He's playing the Belper card. I think we'll see a coal play here.
Yeah, sorry, this card.
I would hope so.
Just getting some of that economy back. Unless he has enough to commit to pottery, and then will try to puts the pressure on everyone else to use that beer on the right side of the board in Shrewsbury.
Yeah. It's so versatile.
But he also has his beer too, so he's not hurting for beer right now. Yeah.
17.
Yeah.
He does go for the pottery.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's chosen his path now.
Yeah, and that's a great play. That is a great play by Josh, especially because he knows he has his one beer that chances are it'll be difficult for other people to use without the coal market going down, the cost of 2 rails being so expensive. And even if they do, he still has the opportunity to build a rail into Shrewsbury from Coalbrookdale, where currently he is the only person residing in it. It's either him or Jared who can build that rail right now. That's a really good play by Josh, and I think really clutch to get that pottery on the board. Obviously needing to build up to Belper because he had that Belper card and did not have the Coventry card.
Right, and Luke is not in a position where he can build his third mill, link, and sell. It's just one too many actions for him to get across.
8. And an iron. Did you take this out?
There comes the call.
It's off.
This refuels Randy.
14, 12, which is 26. Jeez.
The guest commentator who's just jumped into frame that I'm getting out of the frame.
6. 6.
Randy has a sufficient economy to take him to the end of the game here. But does he have the cards to play into that other pottery spot before Josh?
Well, Randy's already played his pottery down, yeah, but he would need to build his small one first to lock down the spot.
Yeah, build your small one, lock down the spot, and then if the opportunity opens itself up, I believe you can overbuild on the pottery, right?
You can, yeah.
And then sell out, and then maybe well, he's going to try and score some points off of iron here. He's going to try and get to level 4 iron.
It's almost more beneficial to go for that iron rather than try to push for that level 3 pottery because it's so expensive and you're only getting 11 points for it. And it requires such a heavy investment to get it out there. It's much simpler to just buy the iron and get 7 points for that iron instead of the 11 that you'd get for the level 3 pottery.
So he's probably looking iron, develop, and then one more manufactured good, and that's his line of play to play out the rest of the game. That's not a bad. That's not a bad line of play. I think the score's going to be very, very tight here at the end.
Yeah.
Luca's got some big potential plays here, but he has next to no points off of rail networks here.
I think we see Luca just trying to math it out, seeing if he can afford to do that last big cotton, or if he should start trying to do something else. Luca could try to get his level 1 pottery on the board too, over in Coventry if he has the correct card. I mean, if Luca could get his level 1 pottery down and the level 4 cotton down and another beer down and then sell it all, I think he gets it. I think there's no stopping him at that point.
That's a lot of plays, though. A lot of plays.
It's a lot of plays. It's a lot of money. He also doesn't have the links on the board, the network links, which I think is going to be really detrimental. We see Josh having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
You had it.
He has Belper. Josh has opened up Belper for business. Luca is able to build there now and potentially sell his cotton and not needing to use a turn to build a link. You hear Josh say, oh, you had it. Josh was worried about committing to that link too early. He'll still get points again for that network link, but now Luca has his 3 cotton on the board, which is what he needs. And he's going to immediately sell using both beers and Josh's beer, gobbling up that beer so he doesn't have to build, so he doesn't have to overbuild. You hear Josh saying, I almost built the blocks, maybe to block you. Josh has opened the door to this monstrous play by Luca. Josh does get some income, but that doesn't matter at this point.
No, three flips.
You want your beer for your own measures, and he's able to use the beer that Josh just left on the board. What a huge play by Luca right here. Now, honestly, Luca shouldn't think about the pottery. He's already used his sell action. Luca needs to get in this network game and try to lay some rail down to get as many points as he can before the game ends.
Yeah. He definitely needs to do that. He definitely needs to get some trains in the game, and he can. It could be his.
That is just a monstrous play. Josh regretting that Luca had Belper in his hand, just waiting for that opportune moment to strike. Josh still having an avenue to sell that pottery by building a link from Coalbrookdale to Shrewsbury and using that one of the remaining market beer that's on the board. You can see the manufactured good beer on the board in those markets being almost forgotten, as it's just not worth the investment to try to get those minimal points, and it is just so much more effective to target those links. Just a bit of a camera changeover.
Coal, $7.
The despair on Josh's face, too much for the camera to handle, so we had to take it off.
I'm sure it's connected right now. So I get 16. 17. Yes, thank you.
Flip 7 more, so 38.
We see Randy looking up at the heavens, trying to find the strength to continue and pull out a win.
So we're probably looking at manufactured building play, Randy maybe a pottery plate here by somebody, and then just a lot of rails.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that the investment in those rails early on by both Josh and Jared are going to really yield a lot of points for them down the line. And now it just depends on if they yield enough.
10, 12, 13, 14.
I mean, to be fair, even though Josh did open the door for a nice iron play by Jared. But it does not go into the market. Jared banking that people will use that iron this late in the game. I don't know if they will.
He's gonna have to. He's gonna have to push it himself. He's gonna have to. That's a lot of iron to pull off there.
Hoping maybe people will develop. Luca's already used the iron needed for his coal. I don't see much beer being played anymore. Those are really the implementations of iron, but maybe hoping that the level 3 and level 4 coal will get hit, which also require iron. Josh also going last in this one is not going to benefit him whatsoever, especially in working towards getting that pottery sold.
Thank you.
Jared now achieving the highest income of 13.
It's 18.
Oh no, sorry, Randy. I was looking at Randy's point score. Yeah, Randy's getting 18 points as income. His sword.
They'll be scoring a tremendous amount of points off the manufactured goods.
Yeah, I thought we'd see more of a specialization, but just the way the board is broken down and this game of chicken that these players have had to play, especially relating to the beer. Beer not being an element of Brass Lancashire, which, having never played Lancashire and only playing Birmingham, I can't even imagine this game without beer. Just such a different experience.
Well, you have to. It's a BYOB game. You have to bring your own beer.
That's true. Lancashire better to play at in-home. Brass better to play at a pub.
Let's go away.
Need a steady supply of beer. And we see Jared with the first play. Again, controlling the turn order is going to be more and more important as the good spots for networks become less and less. I worry that was probably the best play that Jared could do at the moment with the iron, and it's better to get it out sooner than later because that iron market isn't going to go down at this point, but I don't know if we'll see that flipped.
Well, I think, excuse me here, I think there's still the possibility that people may be looking at a develop into a higher level manufactured good.
I think that's right. Like we were talking about earlier, the level 3 and the level 4 manufactured goods aren't really that good. And I think we're seeing exactly that. We're seeing developing. No one's going to develop onto cotton. Wouldn't make sense.
I don't know if it was enough, but it was gonna make it close.
24.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was trying to really go out and like, guys, I don't know what you guys think, but it's all good. It's how it shakes out.
So I'm a little confused here. He developed double, and he developed his coal, and then he placed the manufactured good. Did I miss something?
Yeah, I think he developed his manufactured good off of the in his second develop. He developed one coal away and then one manufactured good. But I'm surprised why he didn't just go for the double manufactured good development, because the level 5 manufactured goods are worth 8 points, and the level 4, which he's currently at, are worth 3 points.
So I think now that I'm seeing it now is that he couldn't get to that extra level without a third development. So he's one development gets him up to the next level, manufacturing goods, and then he might as well do his coal with the other, because maybe he's just not seeing the time to get to that next level of manufactured goods.
Yeah, or he knows he's going to need some income down the line, and so might as well play the coal and get an extra point for it and get some more income for it. That could be it as well. And it also, because maybe he can't afford the level 5 manufactured good, which costs 16 and a coal, versus a level 4 manufactured good, which costs 8 and an iron.
Here we go with Luca. Luca is looking to put some trains out, and if he can put the trains out, this is his game to take.
I think that's it. I think now that's exactly right. Luca's got to put as many rail connections as he possibly can, hoping to make up that board position that he is a little, or more than a little, significantly lacking on, because he has invested so much of his time in loans and getting that big cotton out. And if he can make up for that and create some key links, there's still a lot of links that could go to Birmingham if people decided to put things into Birmingham, but it doesn't look like they're going to. A great link would be up to Colebrookdale.
I'm thinking there's at least one more manufactured good that's going to find its way into Birmingham. Because it's just
I'd
so
say
accessible.
that's a decent idea.
And there's so many Birmingham cards, and not enough of the other cards.
Presumably the next link for Luca would be from Kidderminster up to Colebrookdale. Colebrookdale having 3 tokens on it.
Single rail. It's going to cost me 5 for the rail and 7 for the pole.
Josh's stack looking very light right now in terms of money. Oh, and Randy does do the link. Has Randy just set Josh up for a sale? What's Randy going to sell there?
Coal, which is 10 and a free iron.
Randy wanting to get on those network points and doing that to overbuild a coal. And that's interesting. They just removed a purple coal, I guess because there are no legal places for coal to be built. You could build coal up in Belper.
14, 12 is 26. Plus 5 is 30. This flips, which gives me 5 income.
Maybe I misread that, but that looked like that was Jared's coal, didn't it?
This goes here.
No, I think that was his coal that he flipped.
That was his coal, okay.
But is he looking because he's got a rail line there? Is that why he's choosing that coal placement right now?
It might just be the only card he has, but I think that opens the door for Josh to be able now to sell his pottery in a way that I didn't think he was going to have access to. And it passes over to Josh. That feels like a huge opening of the door for Josh, being able to get 14 points basically by flipping his pottery and getting the bonus for selling in Shrewsbury and using that beer. Josh doesn't have to spend the money to do it anymore. He had the money to do it, I think. Because he only needed to build that one network. But now it gives Josh an extra action to do whatever he wants with it. Still a good placement for Randy, though, because you get at least 5 points for that network link, and that's probably one of the better places to do it. And you also deny Josh those points anyway, where he would have been going. But now it gives Josh the opportunity to take his first action to take that loan.
So he's setting himself so he can double swing here. So he's probably going to keep his. If he takes the loan.
Yeah, he may want to build a manufactured good.
He built something tiny here, and can double swing off this next turn. He'll have first crack at selling.
So.
Oh, he is going to sell. So
Instead, he does just sell.
Take a single action to sell, but still retain the pole position here.
Yeah,
going into the next turn.
To go up to 5 with 3 points. 5, 4. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4.
We see Josh extending his lead. Luca having gained a few points from selling his cotton to catch up. Now Josh has extended his lead by 4, or claimed the lead by 4.
He'll have the cash capital here. He's got good rail position. He could just tighten down on his get all the good rail spots right now.
That's true. Although he doesn't have the beer to do so, he'd have to overbuild on a beer. So I guess the calculation for Josh, who still has his level 2 manufactured good, a pretty cheap one with iron being cheap at this stage in the game. I'm very curious to see what Josh does if we see a sale of a quick sale of manufactured goods. Josh being the only one who needs that beer. Well, now Jared needs that beer if he's going to make a manufactured good play in a level 3, in a level 4, but I don't know, that iron play with Jared might have been his best option. He might look to get more iron on the board too and try to get points that way, because the level 3 iron's worth 7 and the level 4 iron is worth 9. So that feels like a better investment than trying to pursue that manufactured goods strategy, as long as you can get that iron off the board.
So you're thinking the back half of this play is a potential barrel overbuild from Josh?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
To build a single link.
He's claiming that link before Luca can do it. Josh again going for those points. That link being worth, or will be worth 5 points likely, or 4 to 5 points, instead of...
I don't think so. It was 5 plus 5.
10.
Yep.
And then 5 plus 6.
You're right.
11.
You're right. Too much money.
You're right. I get some money back.
Oh, man. Not feeling good about my position.
Did you just say he's not feeling too good?
He's saying
his position?
With his position, yeah.
His position is not too bad.
I mean, he's completely dominating the network.
7, 8, 9, 10 railroads on the board.
Yeah, compared to Jared's 6 and Luca's 3 and Randy's 4, 5. Randy has 5. So Jared 6, Randy 5. Josh has 10 network links, and Luca has 3. I think the amount of network links that Josh has managed to put on the board is going to be such a key factor, and might be the only thing that can take Luca down at this point.
He needs the coal to fund his rail play. Because Luca is still playing from the 0 income spot.
Yeah,
Jeez.
which is just wild to see.
Thank you.
And Josh showing how key that rail that he snagged was. Luca giving him another point. And Luca trying to lock down the most lucrative rail that's still left on the board, which is right there between Kidderminster and Dudley. A 4-point rail. Less and less spots available on the board for people to take. But now Luca with 4 rails, Randy with 5, Jared with 6, and Josh still with 10.
There's only like a few spots. Well, there's still a spot down there from Birmingham to the southern market. That's worth some points.
That's true, exactly.
Josh
worth a solid 4 points there.
And everybody but Luca can get to that. That's like a 6-point play, I believe. Maybe 7, because there might be one more market to fall over there.
Yeah, I think at this point, I don't see who's going to be building, but when all the rails run out, what do? You try to build a quick manufactured good and take a few points where you can, I guess.
Yeah, I would suspect here that Randy's going to take that southern Birmingham line right now.
Just take it off. Cool. Put it there.
Oh, he wants that one.
He instead connects up to Nuneaton, which has beer on it, so again worth 4, and I guess hoping that there's more chance for expansion.
He wants that pottery, I think.
That's true. That's the only way for him to get in the
Does he have the
pottery
time
game.
to get that done? Does he have the time to build, overbuild, ship, and then get a barrel? He's got to overbuild the barrel.
Have it being worth 2 points for every connection that's connected to it.
1, 2, 3, 4 more actions. He's going to need 4 more actions just to get that pottery out. I don't know if that's a lot of actions for one play.
Yeah, this was
I'm on the edge of my seat here.
probably the most competitive game I've ever played for Brass.
Yeah, it felt like a final. It felt worthy of a final. My play wasn't.
Like, I always get the chance to play with, like, one other, like, really good player.
Yeah, sure.
And then it's usually, those good players. So this is kind of cool.
I tried to make you feel at home for Canal, which butchered that.
Josh saying this is one of the most competitive games he's ever played.
Yeah, they agree with us on the quality of play. Players.
Yeah, no, it's nice to play with good players.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And it's true in a game like this too, where you can really set up someone if you're not paying attention to have really good players around the table who are all considering those and looking for those traps.
No.
Definitely don't feel as good as the other ones.
I like to have a prediction.
Yeah, it's just he doesn't want to be seen predicting himself.
No, I'm not.
I think he's got it.
I do too.
The feeling around the table is that it's Luca's game to lose. Just with those getting all 3 big cotton out, that is just huge.
I think he got it, but I could have miscounted.
Let's see at the end.
Yep.
Let's see one more turn. Maybe I will ask the game designer to give me a 5 level cotton.
So that's
Yeah, these last turns are just going to be maximizing points wherever you can.
Oh, no. Cool. Thank you. I was trying to get rid of these, yes. That would be much better. So it's only $8. 5, 6,
And we see
Yes.
exactly why he developed that level 3 manufactured good off.
Put that here.
You have to go on this single one.
Yes.
You have to go.
It doesn't really matter because. But
That one helps me bet more. Well,
2 purple.
I gave you 2 points. I gave Red 2 points.
except, let's see, doesn't matter.
That's true. I'm pointing out that Wolverhampton is a better spot for Jared to go because he has 2 links connected to it.
Yes.
I would think that's where you'd want to go.
You need to talk to. I'm not in both, so I don't.
You care. You care.
Yes, I think you should not.
Right.
Because I think the yellow is winning, but I'm not sure, so I can't say that for sure. So you need to think for yourself.
I'm discussing. Yeah, I think the better play is clearly in Wolverhampton because Randy was behind
We'll
from.
give you 1 more point because you have to really give 2 points instead of 1 to red. But here it will give 2 points to yellow. So you need to think.
I'm not sure you want to
think
give
is winning
2 points to
so-
yellow here.
Yeah.
With you just getting 1, I think you'd want to at least break even on this deal here.
Yeah, that's the obvious choice needs to be there. Very aptly pointing it out.
If you lose for red by 1 point, you would have the wrong move.
There's a double ship here. I think Jared has done well. The scoring has got to be close. Maybe
and
these
Jared being
players
able to
all
get
have
those
a
points.
sense of what the score is, but for me, it still looks very, very tight.
It could be your wonderful partner.
I think selling.
And Jared capitalizing on those last 2 beer.
This one doesn't take a beer.
+4.
Oh, that one doesn't take the beer. That's his level 3. So maybe he didn't develop his level 3 off like we thought.
So if the rest of you would join us in the bond.
Maybe he developed one of his level 4,
Yes.
knowing that he wouldn't be able to afford the level 5.
And I think that's that.
So
I'll have to watch back us watching it back.
I think it's purple.
8 for sure. Then 17, 10, 20, 21. Okay, so 21 stay.
Wait. I think you're last.
Yes, but
Oh.
17.
I miscounted that.
17.
Counted this.
So 21 stays here, 21
No, you're
goes
right.
back.
You're right.
Stay
You're right.
Okay.
I thought
Just to be
I
sure.
counted it as an extra 10, but you're right. You're 100%.
So purple is 6.
We see the giant jump in income tracks. Luca is still being around that $3 level of income, whereas Randy is at 19 and purple at 16. What's interesting, Josh had that huge income bump near the beginning of the game, and then he hasn't really needed to push himself forward that much.
Oh, no, I'm building this.
As we move to the last move of the game, players have 2 cards left in their hand. This is it. And then we will see who becomes the Brass Birmingham champion of 2022.
He can't get his iron on and flip it, so I don't know what he's.
Read some more.
Well, no, by building his coal right now, it costs an iron.
Costs 11.
To flip his iron.
Yeah. He has to do that strategically, putting it in that place where
Just 10.
it benefits red,
Oh,
which is smart
thank
because
you again.
Randy has
Yes,
that gap in
please.
It's not
points.
thank you, it's the rules.
If I win, I gotta open.
If you win, you give me your rings.
Yes.
So you get 18 plus 6, 24.
24 and 2 more income.
You want to give him 24?
Yes.
No, he's
Oh, wait, I didn't move him for the 5.
it's 7 total income.
5 more, yes. I thought you.
Now you're rich.
Yeah,
Huh.
right when I need it.
Getting to that rich spot right at the end of the game.
And then I guess he's got it.
We could have ties.
So we have one last player. Is that it?
I think he has one last play. It's
Rail.
where to build a network at this point.
It's actually.
I really think he should take that Birmingham South line. He has access to that.
So I'm ahead on my target.
Yeah, that feels like the
still
correct
taking
spot as well.
Yeah.
That gets you 4 points. I don't see another 4-point network anywhere left on the board.
Is it 4 points or 6? I think it's 6 points if you take that, because I think those are it's 4 into that market. Am I wrong on that? Or maybe.
No, there's only 2 in Birmingham because there's a manufactured good that's worth 1 point, and then the iron is worth 1 point because all the irons are worth 1 point.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
right.
Well, I think I'll just build.
The only other spot where he could get 3 points is kind of going up from Nuneaton to the empty Tamworth. But why take 3 when you can take 4?
Thanks for running.
Not many spaces left.
You got it? Let's go!
Randy celebrating
Hell yeah.
somebody winning.
And that costs what? $9.
Yep.
That link also being worth 4 points. That might be detrimental to Luca, though, who will be looking to purchase a link. Luca might have been able to
Get in
connect there, and now he
just-
can't get down.
Oh my, yeah, he just cut Luke off of any good rail spots.
Oh, that is a big
I don't even know
detriment
where
for Luca.
Luca can go now.
From like every single species of my deck.
I wanted to jump up.
Oh, that
The
is
only spot.
not optimal. That is not optimal at all.
Yeah, that is hard for Luca. He's only able to get 2 points out of that instead of 4.
Wow.
Luca would have been able to run through Birmingham down if Jared hadn't done that.
That was easily 5-point swing.
That's tough. If Luca ends up losing by 2 points, that's the difference right there. A sensible block from Jared, though. It's not done out of malice. It's the optimal play for him.
5 points instead of
I think the best thing I can do is
7. Maybe you could have got with 2 other better rail.
Yeah, the second rail that he put down was actually only worth 2 points because there's the level 3 manufactured good up there, which doesn't have a link bonus.
Oh wow! So it's only 4 points on 2 actions that he got instead of 4 from 1 action plus 2 or 3 more from the second.
Yeah.
do it again.
Wow, that was a cutoff.
Sucker off.
Now Josh is getting
Again, everyone just building rails. Josh going to capitalize and then head down,
It's a weird
likely
last
into
2 rounds.
Nuneaton.
Just
Yeah. Now Josh is
link
getting the
actions.
prime
It didn't
railroad
make sense to
connections.
throw the beer out, you know, because that's only overbuilding. I shouldn't have done that another time too. It cost me some work. All right, finish it off. Yep.
And then, but that opened the door for Josh to be able to build that link down where we were talking as well.
All 4-point links away from.
There was a 4 and a 3.
So
There were 2 4s. Oh, purple took 4 because I had my eyes on it. And then you took a 4. So now it's
Again, we see the turn order coming into play. Randy wishing that he could get a 4-pointer, but going last in this last turn, he was never going to get those links.
Thanks.
That is such a big swing, though, by Jared placing that down. He sways it over to Josh. A difficult position to be in, almost. Well, we'll see how close the scores are, but I think it's down to Josh and Luca right now.
Tamworth. Paying, what's this cost? 10, 11?
I'll just take this.
Rather than purchasing a link,
I'm gonna build this rail.
Oh, hang on. Let's give you the
Oh
money.
yeah, I get some
and
money.
so you'll get.
Randy being able to establish a connection just conveniently where Josh put his play, and then establishing that link to create a 4 value network link, but giving Josh another point in the process. Josh has scooped up so many points out of these rails. I think it might be good night for Luca. I don't see. We'll see if it's a close enough score that these swings would have mattered at the end.
Oh, please do. Can I take a picture too?
Players taking a picture.
I'm not winning this. I tried to do something clever in the late canal, and I totally fucked it up. I made a swing. I tried to throw a punch and sneak out some more points, and I hit myself. It was awful. Like -6 VEEPs, -10 income, no benefit. It was awful. And then I eventually found a line to try
Two of those left. We've got a bunch.
Get
All right,
off
are we
the
ready
board
to
first
count these?
rail, except I messed up the execution of that too. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
first stage like a 4-year-old.
Okay. Well, it's a tough game.
Are you guys comfortable?
Randy
Oh, money's a tiebreaker. Never mind.
agonizing over his early decisions like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the second tiebreaker, so.
I'm winning no tie. Oh, wait. Where's mine? Oh, I could win a tiebreaker.
Yeah, there's no time to
Okay.
income, so money won't matter.
All right. Start with. Yeah, why don't you remove those? And we'll go
Them
down
talking
the
about the double tiebreaker. If there is a tie, whoever is furthest ahead on the income track will win.
2, 4, 6, 7.
So if Josh and Luca were to tie, Josh would win through
Somebody
tiebreak.
else on that side do it, and I'll.
And they don't feel the need to give out any income or worry about their money because no one is tied for income, and therefore
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
43 and 6 is 49.
they're counting up these links now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That would be 54.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Jared reaping the benefits of his manufactured good placement.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
64.
2, 3, 4, 5.
69.
2, 4.
It's 73. I think that's all the purples.
Purple's off the board. A sizable
1, 2, 3,
point
4.
value for Jared.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
45 to 51.
1, 2, 3, 4.
55.
2.
These little baby rails are what.
Yeah, those are the ones that hurt.
6, 8, 9.
But a solid 9-pointer. That was the one that Luca locked down early on.
Why is that 9?
Oh, 2, 4, 6, 8. You're right.
8 points.
Yellow.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And now we see
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
just how much Josh gets out of his.
2, 4, 6, 7.
61.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Just 7 points after 7 points.
2, 3, 4, 5.
We can see him shooting up the track with still 6 or 7 rails to score. We see the benefit of all those networks that Josh invested so heavily into.
4.
Now keep in mind, Josh was leading in the points going into this, but he's
He didn't score a
blowing
lot of
away the
building
competition
points,
right now.
He didn't score a lot of building points, but he is cleaning up on the rails here.
Yeah.
And 4.
That is just a huge lead between him and Luca.
4, 6.
And I don't.
Another 6 points. That is a huge amount of points from the rails. Now it comes down to building. Well, it comes down to Red's rails. But I don't think Randy has much hope of making up that gap.
2, 3, 4.
His building score isn't going to be strong enough either.
2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5.
Making a respectable comeback, though, considering he was 10 points, or over 10 points behind.
6 is 65. All right.
And now it comes down to the buildings. Now we see the effect that Big Cotton has. Luca has a lot of points
Let's go one at a time.
ready to score.
You want to go one at a time?
What do you want to go?
I mean, you can make a stack that we can double verify.
Yeah.
but-
Just stack
You
them
can
up.
you can make it. We usually do piles of 10s.
Okay.
And then
All right. There.
So we're going to be
Take it off the board.
adding up all of purple first.
10 right here takes me to 83. Okay. Can we just do a 9? Is that cool? How about an 11? And another 11.
We see Jared has caught up with Josh now with his building points. Josh does have building points on the board. We're going to see his pottery being very clutch.
8.
No, 8. Thank you. Ourselves. One more.
Where?
5. All right. White. So.
Jared's final score is locked in. Jared ending up at 127.
1.
67, 87.
Now we see Luca and his Cotton.
Big points.
Plus. What's the easiest way to do that? There is no easy way.
30.
Is that 30 together? 18, 12, 30, yeah.
Another 30 for Luca. He jumps ahead. Luca
7.
is in the lead right now.
All right.
A big score, I think,
Right around where I was saying.
138.
138, pretty close to what I think is the mark.
Now we see if Josh can manage to overtake him. Josh still has a lot of buildings to count. I think Josh has this.
12,
We see another 12 points.
46.
He jumps over that 146 range and still has another building of the iron down there.
51.
Wow, 151.
That's almost 5 points per action at 31 actions.
That is
that's
exceptional. Even those little changes wouldn't have made up the difference if Luca had been able to get another 4 points on rails and Josh had lost 4 points on rails. It wouldn't have mattered. Josh is looking to be the Brass Birmingham champion. Adding up Randy's buildings right now just feels more like a formality.
11.
Randy's still managing a very decent comeback though to be in contention close to Jared.
No way, did
Might he go over? Almost surpasses Jared.
Oh my gosh.
The hands are being shook.
man, that was awesome.
The exhaustion is evident on their faces, and Josh walks away with the Brass Birmingham championship.
What
a
an
game.
amazing game. That was amazing. It was
Yeah.
amazing. Seeing somebody win with so few shippable buildings out is just impressive. He ran up the iron strategy quite well. He controlled his economy. He scored a lot of points. He did fairly decent with the barrels of beer, but he crushed it on the railroads.
Oh, absolutely. And those networks were so key. You could just see him fly ahead. I think he was like 20 points ahead of everybody else before the rails were scored. And though Luca had so many points in Cotton, it didn't matter, also because he got that clutch pottery play, which gave him that extra 10-point bump, which he desperately needed to make it happen. What a game. That was a great time.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Well,
congratulations.
Yeah, a great end to the series. That's true, Brian. This will be the last one that we are airing, but make sure you stay tuned to the World Series of Board Gaming YouTube channel. Brian and I will be talking about different strategies for various games going forward, hopefully interviewing some designers, and always keeping you up to date with all of the World Series news as we prepare for 2023 and see who will be our champions for next year. I am already excited about next year's event. I hope you all are as well.
Yes,
Brian,
stay tuned and stay subscribed. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe. Will definitely be some opportunities to win some free tickets to WSBG through this channel here, as well as through discounts through various other channels as well too. So pay attention not just to our our network, but to the networks for board gaming across the YouTube platform.
Yeah, across all of YouTube, we're all part of the same wonderful hobby, and we all try to uplift each other as well. So that is what we'll be doing going forward. Thanks for tuning in. I think that's it. My name's Chris George once again.
And I'm Brian Muller.
Take care, everyone, and we will see you next year. Well, we'll see you in a couple weeks, but we'll see you all present next year at the World Series 2023. See you in Vegas.